Yes, we are, and here we are. It's the 2016 Creative Arts Emmy Awards. The Gold Derby team is here. There is nowhere else to watch the winners be read out or unveiled online or on TV, anywhere. This is the one place to be today. And how excited are we? This is for the first time ever taking place over 2 nights. We're returning tomorrow for the sequel. Zach, how excited are you for 2 nights of Creative Arts Emmy Awards coverage here at Gold Derby?
I am so excited I can't even describe to you how excited I am to do this 2 nights in a row. This is like my warm-up act for tomorrow night. So
or
if
for
I
next
get it
Sunday.
wrong, yeah, for next Sunday, yeah. We have 3 chances to get these chats right, folks. Yeah, I mean, I think that maybe we're not as excited as the nominees are excited. I spoke to a lot of the nominees for Creative Arts Emmys, and what a lot of them said was, thank God this is going to be 2 nights instead of 1, so that I don't have to feel the need to leave as soon as my category is announced. I can stick it out through the end and get to bed at a decent hour. So, yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, like last year I was at the Creative Arts Emmys and it was a long show. It was 4 hours. It was pretty cool. I'd never been to the Creative Arts Emmys before, so I was loving it. But there were quite a few people leaving early, and the governor, like because of that, the governor's ball starts quite late and things like that. So I'm sure it'll be interesting to see. This is another Emmy experiment to see if people enjoy having the 2 nights or if that's something they'll change again for next year. Amanda, it's going to be a big night, perhaps for Game of Thrones. Tonight we've got all the scripted categories, and the first couple of categories we're going to get are going to be what was I going to say? The first couple of categories are going to be the casting awards. We're going to have limited series, comedy, drama casting. There's an article at goldderby.com saying the order of the categories that run through the night. And Game of Thrones is in an interesting position. It has won 26 Emmys in its first 5 seasons, which is the same number of Emmys won by The West Wing and Hill Street Blues of all time. No drama series has ever won more. So if Game of Thrones wins one of their awards tonight, they set a new record for most wins by a drama series. Amanda, will they win one?
Oh, yeah, they're going to win one. I mean, come on. I think they've got visual effects. I think they got visual effects and stunt probably in the bag. If they don't win those, then we're going to want to see vote totals. But it's what I love about these awards, especially tonight, is it's going to help me, and I think if most people pay attention, it's going to help you lock in some of your final choices for series, for writing. If the night manager does decently tonight, picks up a couple, I might put it in first place for writing. So it is important to see how the shows are doing, especially those who have the most nominations kind of in their section. So how does Veep do tonight? How does Game of Thrones do tonight? How does The People versus O.J. Simpson do tonight? That's where we want to look, is to see how those shows and series that have the most nominations are going to perform. Or maybe are they just ripe for an upset? So tonight cards are going to start falling into place.
Charles, what are you most excited for tonight at the Creative Arts Awards?
Well, first of all, Matt, I gotta say, I'm glad that we are, fitting the dress code for the evening.
I'm dressed up.
It is 90 degrees where I am.
Amanda. I apologize. It's just Zach, so we'll just shun him.
This is a $40 polo, so.
I can't get over shirts cost that much these days. But regardless, it's just, this is going to be a fun night. I think this is going to be something, this is going to be a format that's going to stick at least, because like what Zach was saying, this is, if you saw the edited down creative arts ceremonies that they would air the following week on television in the past couple of years, you could tell, like, everyone is just, 2/3, halfway through, they're just like, oh God, please let this end. Not out of disrespect to anyone else, but it is a very long time to be in your seat. So it's going to be. I like to see how. I think this is going to be a good format, and I'm excited to see, just like little things. I can't wait to see, what's going to happen in the outstanding commercial category. I can't wait tomorrow night to see what's going to happen in animated program. I think that to what Amanda said, we always look for clues in these creative arts categories, but sometimes they're just big red herrings. Let's not forget the first year of Boardwalk Empire. It won 7 awards, it won 7 awards at the Creative Arts ceremony, and we're like, ooh, what does this mean? Does this mean that that Mad Men could possibly lose? And yeah, that didn't happen. But then, 2 years ago, we had the Sherlock sweep of the Creative Arts Awards, and then
You should have paid more attention.
oh yeah, that ended up being a huge indicator as to what was coming the following week.
And we all just ignored it.
Yeah. the first, yeah. The first categories of the night are going to be the casting awards. I might quickly run through the nominees in those categories, and we can say what we think is going to happen there. Best comedy casting, you've got Modern Family, Silicon Valley, Transparent, Unbreakable, Kimmy Schmidt, and Veep. The limited series casting, Fargo, Grease Live, The Night Manager, The People vs. O.J. Simpson, and Roots. And for drama series casting, Downton Abbey, Game of Thrones, House of Cards, Mr. Robot, and Orange is the New Black. We will break it as soon as we hear the winners of those categories. Zach, what 3 shows do you think might take out those awards?
Can you read through the nominees again? I was actually checking to see if any of the winners have been announced. And
Okay. No, that's okay. Okay. Well, the first category is going to be limited series cast, I think. So who do you think is going to win between Fargo, Grease, The Night Manager, People vs. OJ, or The Roots?
I think it's got to be People versus OJ. I mean, it seems like a pretty done deal to me. I think OJ is going to be, if you consider the number of acting nominations that it got, for it not to win this award would be kind of silly. Because, I mean, everyone in that show got nominated, so surely they
Except
think...
Nathan Lane.
Except Nathan Lane, yes.
He should have been.
No.
I agree with you.
He was wonderful on that show.
Yeah, he was probably number 7 on the list if we saw it publicized.
Do we have a dissenting opinion from Zach on that category? Does someone think something else will win?
I mean, we've started a lot of unknown people, so if it did better, maybe, but I just don't see this not going to the People versus O.J. Simpson. They have to give themselves a big pat on the back for how they cast this thing.
I would say if anything could upset it, it would be Fargo, because that has
Actually,
the same sort of what?
Oh, we just got the winner. It was the People versus O.J. Simpson.
Congratulations,
Right.
People vs. O.J. Simpson. Very good. Let's quickly shift gears and they open their account for the night. They could be a very good night for People vs. O.J. Comedy casting. Who do we think's going to win that one? Modern Family, Silicon Valley, Transparent, Unbreakable, Kimmy Schmidt, or Veep? I think Veep might have a good chance of repeating, partly because there's no new shows this year that it's competing against. Usually a new show will do well there.
Is that a first in the past couple of years that in either the comedy or drama that we have had no new program in there?
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me. So I'd say Veep. Silicon Valley could definitely win. They did quite well at the Creative Arts last year. It's a show that did well with nominations. It got its first acting nomination this year too. So, and then Transparent did well in the acting nominations as well. Like that's a tough category. Like Unbreakable, Kimmy Schmidt also. Yeah.
And to be fair to like Silicon Valley, not to be rude to Veep, but those were all unknown actors that they went out and found, and they made this show out of. So
same with Orange is the New Black when that won the category.
Right.
Congratulations, Veep. They just announced the winner. Sorry.
Veep, congratulations, Veep. You have won your second casting award in a row. The comedy series that leads the most Emmy nominations this year. They look still on track to repeat their best comedy series win. Best drama series casting. Downton Abbey, Game of Thrones, House of Cards, Mr. Robot, and Orange is the New Black. This is like Game of Thrones would be out in front here, but does anyone think is that certain? What are we thinking with this race?
Well, could this be an award that Downton Abbey wins for its, the frequent SAG Award winner for ensemble last year? No, Amanda, you don't think so?
No, I just saw the winner, so I'll let you go. I'll be quiet.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, no, we might as well announce the winner.
It's Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones has won. Very good job. So Game of Thrones, People vs. O.J. Simpson and Veep, the three frontrunners to win their series category have all taken out casting, which doesn't always happen.
I won't refresh as quickly.
Do we think that this means? I mean, we've been trying to speculate what this new voting is going to be like. Where they only have to choose one in each category. They don't rank them anymore. Do we think that this is going to be a foreshadowing of things to come? Like our frontrunners are just going to continue sweeping throughout the categories?
Yeah, because I would have thought Mr. Robot would have had a chance because it did have. I mean, they had to go out there and discover these younger actors and find the right person, and then I'm sure it wasn't too hard to cast Christian Slater, but
right. Well, or to get him to show up, perhaps. But
I do think new voting does help. Sweeps happen. I think it's no coincidence that the first year of new voting, we had a series win more Emmys than any other series in history for a single season. And it was a big jump. It was from a record of 9 to a record of 12. So we've got hairstyling awards coming up. What used to be a very reliable bellwether for these awards. Amanda, do you have a winner? Do you have something to say?
I think it's probably going to be the People versus O.J. Simpson because, I mean, they did the wig palooza. But,
yeah.
And there was a whole episode about someone's hair.
Right, I was just going to say that
poor woman. I have never felt more sorry for anyone in my life than I did for Marcia Clark at the end of that episode.
I was going to say that, what do you call it, a perm? That perm alone on Sarah Paulson is worthy of Emmy recognition.
Both everyone involved in wearing that perm, her, the people who did the perm.
It is going up against Dancing with the Stars. Oh, no, sorry, that's the wrong category. Sorry, my bad. I got it mixed up, the multi-cam and the single cam. So there is the single camera series, which is Penny Dreadful, Masters of Sex, The Nick, Game of Thrones, and Downton Abbey. There is multi-camera special, which I think they're holding over till tomorrow. And then there is limited series, which is all the way American Horror Story Hotel, Fargo, The People vs. OJ, and Roots. Yeah, you would think the People vs. OJ will get its second award here, but American Horror Story, it's not like they don't have some sort of crazy hairstyles and things like that. Do we have a winner yet in that category? Who is the winner, Amanda?
Sorry.
No.
It's just another tweet about Game of Thrones being now the most winning drama series because they got
congratulations.
Just
got to
needed one.
27.
Yes.
Really
take that, Stephen Bochco and Aaron Sorkin.
Yeah. I feel like I've had an argument with Tom O'Neill at some point about how you should really count West Wing's documentary special win from season 3 as their 27th win. But Tom wrote the book on the Emmys that's right behind me, so we have to defer to his judgment. And
well, you could put like an asterisk by the 27 for.
Yeah, no. Congratulations, Game of Thrones. You have done it. You have
we have
the most
winner for
winning
people for best hairstyling. We have the People versus O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, which means we have a show now in the lead on 2 Emmy wins. It's got a multiple Emmy winning show now this year. I'll start work on my my 2016 Emmy scoreboard so we can keep track of which shows on the most wins throughout the night. Now we've got one with 2.
Yeah, we missed one. We missed it last year.
Yeah, we did not have it last year. It is back. It is updated. The latest technology. We've been working 2 years on this, so we'll get it up in a minute.
Like a whiteboard or something, or what?
Oh, it's not just a whiteboard, Amanda. It's we'll get it out in a minute. But firstly, let's talk about hairstyling for a single camera series: Downton, Game of Thrones, The Nick, Masters of Sex, and Penny Dreadful. What do we think is going to win this? Game of Thrones would be just your default if it
Maybe
wins
Downton
everything
Abbey for
tonight.
its final season. And
I was thinking of possibly Downton in that one as well.
Yeah,
I'm-
a high
I'm
number
going
of
to go
hats. A lot of hats in Downton Abbey to win a hairstyling award, but you never know. You never. It's very hat. There's a lot of fedoras in Mad Men. There's a lot of fedoras in Mad Men, and they won that award a lot.
hey, and we know from Mad Men's 4th victory for series, hairstyling is a very important.
It's the bellwether.
It was the reassuring one when Friday Night Lights was winning a bunch, and then Boardwalk Empire was winning. Especially when Friday Night Lights won actor and writing, we were like, "Oh crap!" But then afterwards, we knew we were.
So goes hairstyling, so goes the nation. That's what they say. Okay. Let's see out the winner for that. We want an upset. We haven't an upset yet. I am itching for a shocker. You can obviously comment in the forums, the Gold Derby.
Oh, we have an upset.
It's an upset.
Ooh,
Downton Abbey wins best hairstyling.
Downton Abbey overcomes the hat bias to win. I think that many hats in there. Now I'm stressed that there aren't as many hats in Downton Abbey as I've given the impression on the.
They have all those historical wigs and hairstyles, so
Yes.
it makes sense why they would go for something like Downton Abbey.
Yeah.
And now we have seen sentiment can help you win an Emmy, so maybe I'm not too far off with picking Ryan Seacrest.
Or maybe hairdressers are just a sentimental type.
Downton Abbey makes the cut in the hairstyling category.
That should be the tag on the tweet.
Yeah, there's tag Marcus, if you could be whack that on the tweet, please. Okay, so here we go. Are there any? I'm trying to have a quick look at the forums, the Gold Derby forums. Leave your comments in the Gold Derby forums, guys, and we will read out the interesting ones. Because we're here for 2 hours. We've got a lot of time. A lot of awards. What are the next awards we've got coming up?
Makeup.
Our
first. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have the nominees in front of you, Charles? Can you read them out?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay, great.
We got makeup for a limited series or movie, non-prosthetic. We have as nominees All the Way, American Horror Story Hotel, Fargo, The People vs. O.J. Simpson, American Crime Story, and Roots, specifically for the episode Night 1.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll give it to The People versus O.J. Simpson. I think they're just gonna.
This could
I don't
be
know. I
something
thought.
that.
Oh no, go on, Zach.
I was just going to say this could be something though that that All the Way wins. Although I mean, is it nominated for would they consider what they did to Bryan Cranston more prosthetics or?
I think those things, the obvious things would be the prosthetics on Bryan Cranston.
Yeah. Right.
Which it is up for.
Right. It always confuses me that they have these two separate categories for these things. It just,
it makes it a little bit more fair for shows that don't really do.
Right.
I think there's a difference between a movie where you're there for 6 to 8 weeks, and then there's a TV show where you're there for months on end. I mean, that's why they have like best visual supporting visual effects also.
Did you do any? Did you interview any makeupers, Zach?
Makeupers.
Oh God, did
makeup
I?
Artist. Sorry, makeup artist. My apologies to the makeup artist community.
Makeupers should be the new term.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't think I did for this any of the nominees. I'm trying to think because I can't remember talking to anybody who did makeup this year. I was like the one below the line craftsperson I didn't talk to.
I'd like to see next year an interview with someone who has done non-prosthetic and sort of prosthetic makeup, and they can tell us the difference and what the challenges are of each. I think that'd be a fun.
Well, if you'd like
a lot of these nominees do overlap.
Sometimes they do. Yeah, sometimes they do. So anyway, we've got the scoreboard up. So we got a blackboard this year, and we got the.
That's so old school.
It's actually old. It's so old that it's new, Amanda.
Vintage.
And it's vintage, and we've got the People vs. O.J. Simpson on two out in front. So there we go. We'll be updating that throughout the course of the evening. And the great news is if I don't have a logo for one of the shows that wins, I've got a mark I can write on the. There you go. So
You have done Tim Russert proud.
yeah, oh, yeah. So anyway, very good. Okay, let's. Do we look at what about the other non-prosthetic makeup category, the single camera category? What do we think about
Let's
that?
see. The one that comes after this is single camera non-prosthetic, and the nominees there are Game of Thrones, The Nick, Penny Dreadful, Vikings, and Vinyl.
Well, that's going to be an easy one for Game of Thrones. They should easily be able to take that category.
Should have been an easy one for Game of Thrones, because do Penny Dreadful and the Nick also not have quite good makeup and things like that?
They're the only series not. I mean, if they're going to play this more like the Oscars, then we're going to see them toe the line, I think, a little bit more.
The Nick did win this last year, didn't it? It won a makeup award.
What did?
I think so.
Sorry?
The Nick, didn't it?
It may have.
It won something with it.
I would say of all of us here, Zach, you're the most likely to know. I would not want to argue you on that.
I'm just going to look that up on my phone real quick before I make a fool of myself on live internet TV.
It's never stopped me. Never stopped me.
One thing I'll say about Game of Thrones.
It won production design, excuse me. It was nominated for makeup. Yeah, my bad.
The one thing I'll say about Game of Thrones is that its nominated episode is Battle of the Bastards, and that has a lot of, because it's battles, it's blood, it's injuries that aren't necessarily prosthetic. So this is tailor-made for this cat. That episode is tailor-made for this category.
And congratulations to American Horror Story for best non-prosthetic makeup.
Ooh.
American Horror Story. So yeah, there you go. Horror Story. It's not really a undeserving win, I would say, for the show. And look, American Horror Story, American Crime Story, to Ryan Murphy, it's also. So
it's all more glory to Ryan Murphy.
I just noticed the photo that has been posted on Gold Derby's Twitter.
Oh, and
go Amanda. Breaking news.
Game of Thrones, non-prosthetic makeup.
Game of Thrones is on 2 wins. It can join the chalkboard. It's now got a place on the chalkboard. Good job, Game of Thrones.
We got a neck-and-neck race with O.J. Simpson.
O.J. Simpson, which could have pulled ahead there. It could have pulled ahead to 3 if it hadn't gotten upset by Hotel. Congratulations, Hotel, being an Emmy winner. The show that mentioned gave a big shout out to Gold Derby this year by murdering one of our editors. So thank you, American Horror Story Hotel, for killing one of us and then winning an Emmy. So we're now in an Emmy-winning show, Gold Derby.
Give ourselves a big pat on the back there.
Yeah. I'm looking at the photo.
This next year, we're going to submit this for news program.
Oh my God, we so should.
We could all chip in for the what $100 fee.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
It's like $500 or something. But yeah.
It's $500.
We'll start up.
We can organize a Venmo. It's all fine.
Yeah. We'll do a Kickstarter.
One thing I wanted to. I was just
John.
wondering about the People versus O.J. Simpson losing the non-prosthetic. Oh well, if it loses the. Oh, it's not even up for prosthetic makeup.
There you go.
That is odd.
I think. Well, this is what I was wondering with the loss in the non-prosthetic category is that, when I was hearing people talk about some of the makeup, a lot of them specifically singled out the job that the look that John Travolta had, and there was from a lot of people that I was talking to, I heard a lot of mocking it, not necessarily respect for it. Now, that again, Robert Shapiro did look like that. He's a freaky-looking dude, but and he was back in 1994, 95. But it was still, I think that might have rubbed some people the wrong way. And this could portend possibly some
and we should also
trouble in the supporting category.
And we should also point out that now that it has lost an award, it cannot tie the John Adams record. It can only, if it wins everything else, 12.
That's right, yeah.
And congratulations for best prosthetic makeup to Game of Thrones, because now they are in the lead.
So now they have won 2 makeup awards.
They're at 3 now.
Yeah, and they're on 3 in total. So we're updating. We're in the process of updating the chalkboard. What are the next categories? Sorry, go Charles.
Surprised all the way lost there. I thought that would have a very good chance there.
Yeah.
Our next category is guest actress in a comedy series.
Okay, this is a big one.
God.
Let's break it down. Does someone want to read out the nominees for us?
We have Laurie Metcalf for The Big Bang Theory, Christine Baranski for Big Bang, 3 Saturday Night Live nominees, Tina Fey and Amy Poehler in a joint bid, Melissa McCarthy and Amy Schumer, and Melora Hardin for Transparent.
Okay. I've got Amy and Tina predicted here. I just think that's going to be a very hard thing to overlook. Zach, what are you thinking?
I picked Melora Hardin just because I've been predicting it ever since I saw that episode of Transparent, and I said that's an Emmy submission right there. So I feel like at this point I should just stick it out. You know, I mean, we're going to see if perhaps vote splitting can happen, number one, and number two, if they're going to be okay with awarding 2 people being double nominees. I mean, this has never happened before in the history of the Emmys. So, I mean, is the popularity of these 2 women combined going to translate into an Emmy win? I guess we'll see. But I'm going with the apple in a barrel of oranges here. I'm going with Melora Hardin. And we're going to find out if I'm wrong.
If you are right, Zach, that is not just bragging rights for you, but it's somewhat maybe an argument against that tapes don't matter anymore. Mm-hmm. It would maybe add validity to maybe they are still watching the tapes online and in at least some categories and things. Interesting. I just think Amy and Tina have so much goodwill they won't mind that it's a joint nominee, but I'm not a big fan of 2 people winning this category.
I'm not a big fan of it, but I've picked Amy Poehler. I think out of Julia's Emmys, I've picked her 4 out of like 3 out of 4 of the time she's won. Like, because I love Amy Poehler on Parks, so I would love for her to win. But yeah, I'm not a fan of it either.
Yeah. This would be her first ever Emmy. Amy Poehler's first ever Emmy award history.
I think it's more. I think if they win this, it's a very. I think it's probably a very big testament to the power of Tina Fey, and if she can bring Amy Poehler along over the finish line with her, you know, God knows she should have had that. She should have been over that several times at this point. So not to diminish any of her past nominations, but if that gets her over the finish line, all the more power to her.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I never.
So now she can just do joint guest hosting.
So.
She can just do from now on. She can just do joint guest hosting gigs on SNL with people who are way overdue for Emmys. So I think she needs to do a joint hosting gig with Angela Lansbury.
Well, Angela Lansbury might be on the next season of Game of Thrones, and then
I read that's false. Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad. I was going to say you can just hear the articles writing themselves for that one. Like.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, believe me, yeah.
She's never won. She's never won. We talked about that for a year.
Yeah.
Like we were with Bob Newhart when we heard he was guest starring on Big Bang.
Now, Zach, did you put your big points on Melora Hardin winning? Because I checked her odds, and that's kind of tempting. It's too late for me to do it.
I did put my big points on that, I believe.
So we might get to see Zach cry.
Big points are always something I forget to do until the very last minute. And I say, oh, shoot, I got to know. Yes, I'm so concerned with trying to get them right.
A comment in the Gold Derby chat forum on the thread on this topic is from Gus Cruz, who says, they're 2 actresses, each one delivering a different performance, talking about Tina and Amy. If Tina were hosting Saturday Night Live with, say, a Tracy Morgan, would that make them ineligible? Would they each get 1 nomination in their own gender category? That's a good point of, you know, what happens when you've got a guy and a girl hosting together.
Well, Bill Hader hosted last year, and it almost felt like Kristen Wiig was his co-host. I mean, they didn't let Jimmy Fallon and Justin Timberlake do this a couple years ago when Justin Timberlake was as involved in his episode. So it is a little worrisome.
It's an interesting precedent. It's not something I'm a huge fan of, but it will be great to see Amy Poehler win an Emmy if they win. So there'll be some good news coming out of it. But
They don't
maybe
let
she,
Key and Peele enter together. So how? I mean, they're in every sketch together. Why can't they?
yeah.
Why couldn't they?
Or in some series categories, things like Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda, for instance, for Grace and Frankie. I mean, does that open up a whole other can of worms
Mm-hmm.
for people being able to compete together? Now, I wonder if, since we talk a lot about Laurie Metcalf this year getting 3 nominations, could this be what she wins for?
That's why I have her in
Um,
second, because I'm just worried.
Yeah.
It's the same reason why I have Sarah Paulson in second and supporting, because I'm just worried it could happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. Laurie Metcalf is obviously in 2 of these categories tonight. She's also got a lead actress nomination next week, so she's doing very well.
If she wins lead actress, I'm going to laugh so hard. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I'd be very happy
Oh,
for
she
her.
did it. She finally. Sorry. I
Who's-
just love it here. Tina and Amy.
Tina
All
and Amy won.
right.
Tina and Amy. Amy Poehler, congratulations on your first ever Emmy win, Amy Poehler. It's so exciting. And the Saturday Night Live opening its account for the evening. Chris Beecham will be pleased that Amy's won an Emmy.
Yeah.
She only
I'm
had to
very
bring in
pleased.
her good friend Tina Fey to help her do it, but
Yeah.
She should have won for Parks and Recreation.
Yeah.
yeah, she should
She's
have.
also a producer on that show. She should have at least 2 for that show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And she
I
also
mean,
wrote
Aziz
for that
Ansari
show,
could have been nominated for that show. He was overlooked. We could go
Nick
on.
Offerman should have been up at that for some point.
I love those Ron and Tammy episodes. I could watch like all 3 of them back to back because I just think they're so crazy.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I
with
love
them-
that they're doing a tour now. It's really wonderful.
What's the next category that we have? The next bunch of
We're now into costumes. First one is going to be costumes for a contemporary series, limited series, or movie. We have American Horror Story, Empire, The Good Wife, Grace and Frankie, and Transparent.
That's where OJ belongs, not in historic. I mean, seriously, if you can find some of those clothes in like a semi-hoarder's closet,
It is 20 years ago, so
20 years is not long enough to be historical.
No, I mean,
There are people still wearing some of those suits. I mean, granted, they look a little weird.
I think
but
I used to think that, but I just gave up because I've accepted that, I'm just going to apply for Social Security next year. So
oh my god!
is it fraud? No, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
um,
Just
can I ask fake
I
Trump a
think
question?
I think Transparent won this last year, so I think it might do it again this year.
and I mean, if you think about it in terms of like the job they have to do in costuming, they have to turn Jeffrey Tambor into a fairly convincing woman, transgender woman, and I mean, it is like a very well costumed show, very apparently costumed. So.
What were you asking before, Amanda? I'm sorry. I was sorry I interrupted you there.
No, that's okay. I was going to say, can I ask fake Trump a question? Because I actually have one.
Maybe later.
So
If you would have won an Emmy, would we still be in this situation?
Probably.
Great. So I
You
can
guys
stop
are-
not watching Amazing Race then.
sorry. Well, we got some reactions in the forums to the Tina and Amy win. Pterodax, yes. Finally, Leslie Knope has an Emmy. And M says it took Tina Fey on the ballot to get people to vote for her. So there you go. Some comments in the Gold Derby forums about that win. What's the other costume category? Do we talk about both of them or?
Outlander.
We have, yes, this is costumes for period fantasy series, limited series, or movie. So that's Downton Abbey, Game of Thrones, Outlander, People vs. OJ, and Roots.
I think that's got.
People versus OJ really belongs in that category when you hear the other nominees.
Yeah.
I gotta
it
go
might
with
win.
Outlander here.
I don't know.
If
You
Outlander
have.
doesn't win this, I'd be crushed.
They had.
Oh no, go on.
I was going to say because Rob and I took a lot of flack for as much time as we spent talking about costumes, but they merged the 50s with this like Marie Antoinette style so well. You didn't. It was very, very clever, and the episode they submitted is like the perfect. Oh, contemporary costumes, American Horror Story. Congratulations! But it was the perfect mix.
So American Horror Story now takes 2. Now it's on the 2, so that'll join the chalkboard, and it has the same now as American Crime Story.
Maybe American Horror Story will win more Emmys overall than American Crime Story.
It's not out of the question.
Yeah. I was continuing with Outlander in costumes. If you think about what they have to do in that show, the scope and scale of it, and for basically 2 different periods, jumping back and forth to all these different time periods, and the research that they have to do, and the meticulous crafting that has to go into each one of these costumes, it's really just, there's no J.C. Penney for these clothings that they can go to.
And the episode they submitted doesn't go back and forth, but it merges the 50s into this Marie Antoinette style. And it's so clever to take like a Dior outfit from the 50s and they turned it into like one of these kind of walking around kind of outfits that I don't really know how to.
Well, I think what's interesting about that category, so we have Outlander and then also Game of Thrones going head to head in this category, but then you also have Downton Abbey, which is also those are the 3. And also Roots, I guess you would also have very showy and very noticeable in terms of their costumes. And that, I think, could just allow People vs. OJ to just sneak under there. Even though it might not be the most obvious win, it just has that right feel. And maybe you have enough people nostalgic for the 90s.
Yeah, right.
Like us. Like us who grew up during them, for whom... the trial was something that they watched while drinking chocolate milk.
Yeah.
I remember that.
We're done with school early. Our teachers would just put it on. Like, yeah, that's what the public school system will get you.
We've got a scoreboard update. We've got now Game of Thrones on 3, People vs. OJ on 2, and American Horror Story Hotel on 2. So that's how we're looking. That is the current state of play, but plenty more categories still to be announced.
And we also want to make sure people know, if you want to win an Emmy, write an episode where you brutally murder one of us. I mean, that is the way to win at this point.
We will fly in for that. Not some of us who don't live in LA. We're more than welcome to come in and.
I will pay my own airfare. If you want to actually beat me to death, go right ahead, as long as it's televised.
I don't want to actually.
I have a feeling there'd be a line like in the movie Airplane of when they're all trying to make the woman calm down, of people just waiting to bludgeon me.
Oh my gosh! But when they were saying, "Oh, this person," I remember that episode, and I'm like, "And this person was into something." I'm like, "I bet it's False Idols," and I was like, "Oh, I remember something." Yeah.
Going off of with Tina and Amy winning out of 3 nominees for
Game of Thrones Best Period Costumes.
Okay, Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones already at 4.
Yeah.
So it's...
Even with your asterisk, Marcus, we would still. Matt, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
we would still be. I get all the M names confused. We would still have them. Game of Thrones would still be in the lead.
No, Game of Thrones, big leader for more Emmys than any show's ever won in the history of drama series. The most a drama series has ever won. Not 4, but 4 added to the 26 they had from its first 5 seasons. So it's on 30 Emmy wins.
Yeah, now OJ cannot. Now OJ can only get to 11 if it sweeps everything else. So.
Yeah. Which is looking not far from a lock at the moment. OJ.
But it really shouldn't have won costume. So it kind of that was one that it makes sense it was going to lose. It was always going to have a little trouble in some of these categories.
What's interesting is that I think
period piece.
I think the bulk of their nominations are at the main ceremony next week, because what is it, like 3 writing nominations, 2
3 directing,
3 directing, 3 supporting actor. and 2 lead actor. I think most of those are in next week. So,
but I'm just talking about how many categories. It was only in 13 categories, so it had to sweep all of them to tie the John Adams record. It can't tie that record now. The best it can do is 11.
And we have another winner now. We're now into the production design categories.
We actually have another winner right now. Oh, that's right. Sorry, I thought it was.
Yes.
I didn't refresh. I was just looking at costumes still. It just kept popping up. Sorry. Go for it.
It's okay. So we have this is production design for narrative program, half hour or less. Nominees were Big Bang Theory, The Muppets, Unjustly Canceled, Silicon Valley, Transparent, and Veep, and the winner is Transparent, their first win of the night.
Really? Okay.
You watched The Muppets? Like,
I loved that show. It was wonderful.
I'm sorry. That's my takeaway.
Swedish Chef singing Rapper's Delight was one of the greatest things I've ever seen.
Never mind who won this category. Let's just lambast Charles for watching The Muppets.
Let's lambast enough people for not watching it.
Well, the Muppets, I think, should have won this category. To be honest, the production design on that show is a very different beast to a lot of these other the other shows that were nominated, like a Transparent. Like, I just think, and I met the production designers from the Muppets when I was in LA in January at the Production Design Guild Awards, and they won the Guild Award this year for production design. And those guys were so stoked. They were so over the moon. They were so excited. Like, they really loved their work, but they weren't really expecting to win. I guess because the Muppets hasn't really set the awards world on fire, and they upset at that. And I think the production design, and they were talking about the production design they have to do, and it is like quite an effort. So unfortunately, not a win for the Muppets tonight, but Transparent opens their account.
Is the period one up next for production design?
It is contemporary or fantasy.
Okay, what are those nominees?
We got American Horror Story, Game of Thrones, House of Cards, The Man in the High Castle, and Penny Dreadful.
It's too bad that this is like a popularity contest, because The Man in High Castle is very stylized. And
I spoke to that guy, Drew Belton, the production designer of Man in the High Castle. Lovely man. I hope you win tonight, which we'll find out shortly.
Here we go. We've got someone else joining the chat, so this is exciting. Charles, I might ask for you to leave, and we're gonna get Charles back at the end of the 2-hour block, just so we don't get too many people in the same chat at once.
All right.
So,
do you want me to exit out now?
Yeah, exit out now, Charles, and we'll get you back in a minute.
All right.
We now have Robert Pius. Is it Pius?
Pius, right.
Pius, yeah. Hi, Robert. You're joining the chat now. I'm gonna ask maybe. We'll keep Amanda on for another couple of minutes, then we'll get Daniel in. Rob, what's been your reaction of the evening so far? Like, what's the one thing you'd want to talk about?
Well, I guess the big thing was the Amy Poehler and Tina Fey, of course, because I had written some articles for Gold Derby for both Christine Baranski and Laurie Metcalf, and in their category, and I thought it was really interesting because those two, on that particular, they both submitted the same Gold Derby episode. I mean, the same Big Bang episode, and they were playing off each other in the entire thing. So I thought that was, interesting that they were kind of a pair too, but they were separated. But I'm glad Amy Poehler finally got something.
We just got the winner in the production design.
Okay, tell us, Zach, announce the winner for us.
Can you guess what it is?
I'm reading it, so
It's Game of Thrones.
Yeah, very good. Very good. And we've got the production design for a period show. And what the nominees for that? Does someone have the nominees in front of them for that before announcing the winner?
Period production design. We've got Downton Abbey, Fargo, The Nick, Masters of Sex, and Outlander. And for starters, I just have to say I have a beef with the Emmys for pairing contemporary and fantasy shows together for production design, because it always feels like contemporary shows are way outgunned in that match. I really feel like it should be fantasy period and then contemporary on its own, because I'm in the world and I think about those things.
Aren't most fantasy shows period? Like, isn't a Game of Thrones, you'd say, more a period type of show than a contemporary type of, like, I know you got sci-fi and things, and that's probably a bit more sort of contemporary or something, or modern, even futuristic. But anyway, I think that's a good beef, Daniel. I like that one. And who's the winner?
Downton Abbey has won Best Production Design for period, which I guess Downton Abbey should be very happy that they don't group period with fantasy, because it probably would have gotten its butt handed to it by Game of Thrones, as everyone else is. That's 5 wins for Game of Thrones, and we barely started, it feels.
Yeah. Do you have a final thought, Amanda, before we ask you to leave the chat so we can chat with Daniel and Robert for a bit?
I think it'll be interesting to see how the night goes. People versus O.J. Simpson's off to a soft start, but the categories it's lost are the categories it probably should have lost. And then hold out for Laurie Metcalf, because they left Best Drama Guest Actress to the last one, so she might be in good shape. Hopefully she's there in case she does win one of these, because I would hate to see her walk away after having 3 nominations this year with nothing.
Me too.
Because that just would seem kind of mean for someone who is they obviously clearly respect.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much, Amanda, for your thoughts, and for and I think it's a good thought to end on. Laurie Metcalf, the end of the night. Could it be her night? Okay. Thanks, Amanda. Okay.
Hi.
So, Daniel, what are our next couple of categories we got up?
Okay, let me call up that list. We just got done with production design for period. Next up, we've got the main title categories. So it'll be the main title theme music and then main title design. So main title theme music. Let me scroll down to my long list. Our complete list of winners that we have on Gold Derby, I compiled these by hand. They're AB8. Music. Main title theme music. The nominees are Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, Jessica Jones, Narcos, The Night Manager, Sense8, and The Whispers. I'm rooting for Sense8 just because this is its only nomination, and it really should have gotten in for at least editing or cinematography. That's such a beautifully designed show.
Yeah.
Really popular in the chat rooms. People are really want that to win. So I don't know if that could be it, and especially since it's only awards. So.
And it can't lose to Game of Thrones here, so there's hope for everyone.
Right.
Yeah. What about Crazy Ex-Girlfriend? Does that have a shot here?
I was going to say, could that be like a makeup award for Rachel Bloom not getting nominated for lead actress? I mean, she is a celebrity in this category. Do they even think about that when they're voting in below-the-line categories, that they've got a star they can vote for?
I guess it depends on if the names are on the ballot, and if the voters actually consider Rachel Bloom enough of if the voters in this category actually are disappointed that they didn't nominate Bloom. And actually, we have a winner in this category now. Main title theme music has actually gone to Jessica Jones on Netflix.
Jones.
Okay, so let me give a little shout out here to my guy Sean Callery, who I interviewed about Jessica Jones, and he does Homeland and lots of great shows.
Speaking of celebrity, he has won a few for 24, didn't he?
Yeah, he's won 3 for 24. This is his 4th win, so congratulations, Sean. Every time you do a Gold Derby interview, you win an Emmy.
And I think that's like a good point. Like, is that I would imagine a Sean Gallery is more respected amongst the people ticking these ballots than a Rachel Bloom. Like just in terms, I think like in some ways the people in the music branch don't want to give it to an actress. They want to give it to a composer, to someone who's worked in music for longer. So that sort of makes sense to me, actually. And good job with the interview, Zach. And good, it's always nice to see people who have spoken to us. That's sort of on their road to their Emmy. Yeah.
Rachel Bloom has another chance. She's up for songwriting as well for music and lyrics. So perhaps they figured, you know what, there's another shot for her if they want to give her an award. Jessica Jones also up for main title design, but actually no, that winner has come up now. Let me just say who the nominees were before I announce. The nominees were Jessica Jones, Man in the High Castle, Narcos, The Night Manager, and Final. And main title design actually has gone to The Man in the High Castle.
Oh, that's great.
Wow.
That's cool. Yeah. We've got an update on the scoreboard, the chalkboard. We have Game of Thrones on 5 now, I believe. And we've got Downton Abbey, People vs. OJ, and American Horror Story all sitting on 2. So we're seeing quite the gap open up here between the two. Okay, so quite a gap, some room to be made up, but plenty more categories tonight.
I should mention one thing. Speaking of Game of Thrones, we've talked about, and I published the article for about its record becoming now the most awarded drama series in history. It's on its way to Frasier. Frasier has 37 wins. Game of Thrones now already has 31. So it just needs 5 more this year to already catch Frasier as the most awarded primetime drama or comedy series in history. So it might do that tonight for that matter.
How many more and we don't know if this is right now if they've got other categories breaking and stuff, but it would be interesting in the next 5-10 minutes to know how many more can it win tonight? How many more categories is it open to winning?
It has 14 nominations. I don't know how many of those are up against itself.
I'll try to have a bit of a look at that over the next sort of 5 or so minutes. What are our next categories?
Well, cinematography, we've got multi-camera cinematography, which actually was just announced. The nominees were The Big Bang Theory for The Convergence, Mom for Sticky Hands and A Walk on the Wild Side, Nikki, Ricky, Dickie, and Dawn for Go Hollywood, and The Soul Man for White Trash. And of all things, it went to Nikki, Ricky, Dickie, and Dawn for Go Hollywood.
I was going to say, when we were talking, that winner just popped up, and I was like, what the hell is this? Like,
it might be a Nickelodeon series. I can't remember if Nickelodeon or Disney, or it might be one of those children's multicam shows.
I think it is. I feel kind of embarrassed to say I had never even heard of that before. I guess I'm not as good at the Emmy predicting job as I thought I was.
The Big Bang episode, that was the episode that Laurie Metcalf and Christine Baranski submitted, the Convergent, you just said it, I forget, the Convergence or whatever it was. So.
Convergence, yeah. Although we just got Best Cinematography for a Movie or Miniseries, and People vs. O.J. Simpson slowing down a bit. This one went to Fargo. The other nominees were People vs. O.J., Luther, and Sherlock: The Abominable Bride.
And this was cinematography?
Cinematography for a movie or miniseries.
That doesn't particularly surprise me. Fargo's a very well shot show.
Yeah.
Like it's visually stunning, and I think what you were saying earlier, some of these categories you wouldn't necessarily think that OJ would be the front runner in those categories if it didn't have the most nominations, and probably the fact that it got nominated in these categories shows its strength rather than it needing to win these categories to show its strength.
Right. It's not a thing like, say, John Adams, for instance, which has the added element of, period to it, right? All those like below the line kinds of things that we think about in terms, for winners. I went off the rails talking about that, but you know what I mean.
What's the next category? Single camera, correct?
Cinematography. There are actually 7 nominees in that category. It's Bates Motel for Danger to Himself and Others, Downton Abbey Episode 9, Game of Thrones for Home, Gotham for Azrael, Homeland for The Tradition of Hospitality, House of Cards for Chapter 45, and The Man in the High Castle for The New World.
Love to see Bates Motel get something. I mean, that's a show that they just don't seem to appreciate. And Freddie Highmore, Vera Farmiga, nobody was nominated, and they really could have. So hope it gets something here.
Yeah.
I spoke to one nominee in this category, Man in the High Castle, James Hawkinson. So if he wins tonight, that'll just continue my streak of assisting people in winning their Emmys.
It's the Gold Derby bump. We need more people we interview to win, so more people do interviews with us. So let's. So I am now officially rooting for the Man in the High Castle, although winner hasn't come up yet. But it's Game of Thrones is in this category. I can't not predict Game of Thrones is going to take this. So.
I don't think Game of Thrones is a lock in all these categories, but knowing that it's going to win quite a few of them, it is the smart bet to just bet on all the Game of Thrones, and you'll get like maybe 60%, like 80% or 60%, however much it is. If you try to go for the upsets, you'll probably get like 10% right or something. So yeah, it's Game of Thrones is hard not to predict, but I don't think in a lot of these categories it's a dead lock.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah. So,
looks like we just got
speaking of which, it was not a lock. The Man in the High Castle did win Best Cinematography.
My streak continues. Congratulations.
So, Man in the High Castle has now won 2 Emmys, and yeah, great job, Zach on the interviews, giving people the Gold Derby bump. This is huge. How exciting, Zach! What was something interesting that the Emmy winner told you about this?
Well, this was actually his very first nomination for anything. He had gotten an ASC nomination for this, so he was kind of new to the awards race. One of the things he talked about was being a Philip K. Dick fan and being a fan of Blade Runner, because this was going to be directed by Ridley Scott initially. He talked about wanting to pay homage to that, for one, and for another, trying to create a period feel. If you're not familiar with Man in the High Castle, it's this alternative view of history, kind of this sci-fi historical thing, and kind of having a nostalgic feel to it, but also an undercurrent of something's not right here, and creating this kind of weird atmosphere around the thing. So I would encourage people to check out that interview, because it really is quite informative.
Cool.
He does a much better job of explaining it than I did.
Daniel, what's the next category that's up?
Next up, after cinematography, we were moving on to a bunch of music categories, starting with Best Music Direction. Those nominees are... I just had the list open. The nominees are Danny Elfman's music from the films of Tim Burton, which is Live from Lincoln Center, then Jazz at the White House, Sinatra, Voice for a Century, which is also Live from Lincoln Center, Smithsonian salutes Ray Charles in performance at the White House, and Very Merry Christmas. So we've got 2 Lincoln Center, 2 White House, and Bill Murray.
Okay.
This, by the way, is the only other nomination for A Very Merry Christmas other than Best TV Movie.
Yeah, it's surprising that Bill Murray didn't get in. Robert, who do you like for this category?
Oh, I'm guessing the White House thing, because I don't know. I haven't seen any of them, so it's a hard one to pick for me. Not too sure.
Yeah. Zach?
I'm with you, Robert. I'm not too sure. I guess I'll just have to go with A Very Merry Christmas, because it might just stand out if, with 2 Lincoln Center nominees and 2 White House nominees. And maybe perhaps with being nominated for TV movie, they'd want to give it something. Yeah, I think this will be just a big surprise for us. Why can't Game of Thrones be nominated for this? Then we would know what to pick.
Yeah, they don't like the music of Game of Thrones, apparently.
Right.
I'm going with Danny Elfman. I think Danny Elfman is actually the music director, so he would win the Emmy for this if that goes to that.
Now that you say it,
I'm going with Danny
Well, no,
Elfman.
we should all predict something different, so then we'll have like a 3 out of 5 chance that one of us is right.
A 4 out of 5 chance, Daniel. There are 4 of us.
No, but only 3 of us have made predictions. Would you like to take one of the remaining ones?
What are the ones that no one's predicted yet?
Well, I've said Danny Elfman. Zach is going with Very Murray. Robert, you picked White House, but which White House are you going with? There's Ray Charles and there's Jazz.
Oh, Can I change to the Frank Sinatra thing? That sounds. Is that,
Sure. Frank Sinatra, you're down for one Frank Sinatra.
I'll go with the Ray Charles thing. Although, like, it's funny. With a very Murray Christmas, I had friends around to all watch that for a Christmas party. Like, it wasn't just to watch that. Very mixed feelings in the room on the very Murray Christmas. It was a polarizing choice for a group group to watch. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good.
Mm-hmm. So let's just watch the one we didn't pick be the winner.
Jazz at the White House is the one we're watching now. I hate to root against Jazz at the White House, but I kind of have to because it's 4-on-1.
Yeah. What's the category after that? Because they seem to be announcing these quicker than we can read them out.
Yeah, after Best Music Direction is Music Composition for a limited series, and that is All the Way, Descendants, Fargo for the episode Lop Lop, Jesse Stone, Lost in Paradise, The Night Manager for episode 2, and War and Peace for part 1.
I think I spoke to most of the people in this category. Jeff Beal for Jesse Stone, he's won 4 Emmys, excuse me. So this would be his 5th one. Victor Reyes has got 2 nominations this year for The Night Manager, so he could win 1 out of the 2. Oh God, who are the other ones? I've already forgotten. It's Martin Phipps, War and Peace. Very good score. Very kind of interesting score for that kind of period. Very contemporary score for that kind of period drama. Jeff Russo, Fargo. Yeah, he's, does a very good job of not imitating Carter Burwell for the movie. Very good score. And he just did the score for The Night Manager, actually. So, very talented composer and very friendly man. So I don't know who to root for.
Yeah. And what's... Oh, Robert, go.
I would go with The Night Manager, I think, just because that had a very... The score does kind of stand out in my head. It had a very kind of grand quality to it. So that would be my guess. But
yeah. What do you think, Daniel?
I'm going to go with Fargo. Just going to go out on a limb there. I'm a little wary of All the Way, James Newton Howard. But I'm gonna go with Fargo. Fargo already took down People vs. O.J. Simpson once in one category, so we know it's popular. People vs. O.J. isn't in this one. So sure, I'll go with Fargo.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the next category? That would be the series score, I would imagine.
Yes. Music composition for a series, and those nominees are Bates Motel, another chance for Bates Motel for the episode Forever. Chef's Table for Grant Achatz or Achatz, or I'm going to pronounce Katz. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
My apologies to Grant Achatz. Limitless for the pilot, Minority Report for the pilot, Mr. Robot for the pilot, and Penny Dreadful for And They Were Enemies.
Well, there's another 4 people I interviewed.
Whoa.
wow.
Yeah, let's see. Well, I interviewed the Penny Dreadful guy last year, but I didn't do it this year. But Matt Quayle I spoke to for Mr. Robot, Chris Bacon for Bates Motel, Duncan Thumb for Chef's Table. Yeah, and the Limitless guy, Paul Leonard Morgan. And who did Minority Report? Who scored that? That was
Sean Callery.
Sean Callery. Okay, well then I spoke to 5 out of 6 of these guys. So I have to remain neutral. So I play with the last category. I can't pick a winner.
Yeah.
Who won last year? Do we know who won last year?
It was Jeff Beal for House of Cards.
Oh, okay.
No, not here this year. I'm going with Mr. Robot on this one.
And could I say, this could be where Mr. Robot begins its Emmy-winning whatever. I don't know. I guess we don't know how many it's going to win, if it's a run or a non-run. But I think a huge snub here for Game of Thrones. Their score in the final episode was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's weird that didn't even get in.
Yeah. Hard to shed a tear.
That episode aired I think like one of the days before Emmy voting was over. Like
I think it may have
really
been
pushed up against.
I
Yeah.
feel like it may have been after Emmy voting was over.
No, I don't. If it had been after Emmy voting was over, I'm not sure they would have been able to submit it anywhere. So I think Lena Headey submitted it for her nomination. If it had aired after voting, I'm not sure they could have.
It's the Hangover rule.
If I'm correct.
If most of the season airs before the end of May, then you can submit episodes on the other side of it.
Yeah, but not all the way on the other side of it. There's like a cutoff
Yeah.
if
Okay.
episodes that air after a certain point can't be submitted for like episode submissions. This is last I checked the rules of that, which is maybe
Okay.
a few months or a year ago.
Regardless, there was a day most of voting after this episode aired, so that
Yeah.
could have hurt it. So that does make sense.
He should have spoke to me. He would have gotten nominated. It
Yeah.
seems that, it seems that
Yeah.
oh. So if you're listening to this, what is his name? I can't pronounce his last name. It's Ramen. Anyway, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry for butchering your name, for first of all. For second of all, set up a Google Hangout with me immediately after the next season airs.
Yeah. We have a winner in one of the music categories. For musical direction, it has gone to Danny Elfman. Danny Elfman has won. Yeah. Good job, Daniel.
I take full credit for his win.
Yeah.
What's after music?
Well, we actually have one more music category after
Okay.
the score category.
Of course.
Last one, music and lyrics. Music and lyrics.
Oh, okay.
And well, that's an interesting category. That's a fun one. Let me call up those nominees. You've got Crazy Ex-Girlfriend for the song "Settle for Me," written by Adam Schlesinger, Rachel Bloom, and Jack Dolgen. Then there's Empire for the song "Good People," written by Jim Beans. Then there's Gallivant for the song title "A New Season," written by Alan Menken and Glenn Slater. Then there's Garfunkel and Oates, Trying to Be Special. The song title is Frozen Lullaby, which is written by Ricky Lindholm and Kate Micucci. I interviewed Ricky Lindholm before Emmy nominations, so congratulations to Ricky Lindholm. And then The Hunting Ground for Till It Happens to You by Diane Warren, whom I also interviewed. So either one of those would make me equally happy.
I interviewed her too, Daniel, for when it was an Oscar consideration.
So she should get the double.
Yeah.
I should also say I spoke to Gallivant, the lyricist of that, not Alan Menken. Glenn Slater is his name. And if Gallivant wins this, then Alan Menken will become an EGOT. This man who has won like 8 Oscars and several Grammys and several Tonys. He's only gotten one other Emmy nomination. So I think that it would be historic for him to win.
We've got another winner on the board. Music for a movie or miniseries. The Night Manager is on the board.
There you go.
Oh, fantastic.
Congratulations, Victor Reyes.
If Rachel Bloom wins, would her CW Emmy, the whole network, or?
I don't know if it'll be the first CW Emmy. I mean, they do tend to pick up a few nominations here and there. It's possible Smallville took a Sound Award or something like that while it was on the CW, post WB. So it might have won an Emmy or two in creative arts at some point before this.
Yes, we've got two. So we've got what is it? 2 more music categories to announce: the series and the music and lyrics.
Yeah.
Music composition for a series and music and lyrics, and then we move on to stunt coordination.
Yeah, which I think these 2 should be fairly quick, because from how I remember the creative arts last year, and it'll be a little bit more drawn out this year because they're not got it's over 2 nights, but they sort of announce they get somewhat a presenter, then they just do all the music things. Get that out of the way, then they get a presenter and they do all the cinematography things and stuff.
Well, actually, interesting to note, there are 44 categories being presented tonight. Music composition in the limited series was number 22, so we have officially reached the halfway point.
Halfway! We're halfway there, living on a prayer.
So what comes up after music?
Stunt coordination in comedy and
Right.
variety, and then drama limited.
Okay.
And by halfway, we are half of the way through the first of 3 Emmy Awards nights for the year.
Wow. There's more people winning than there are in LA, practically.
Yeah. So,
What are we
you know,
predicting for the stunt awards? For I guess for drama, there's Game of Thrones, right? And then
Now let's well, stunt coordination for our comedy series or variety program. Those nominees are Angie Tribeca, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Casey Undercover, Saturday Night Live, and Shameless. And then among the dramas and limited series and movies, there's The Blacklist, Game of Thrones, Gotham, Daredevil, and Rush Hour. I honestly think Game of Thrones is just gonna it'll get back on track there. I think it'll.
mhm.
Yeah. Boy.
And we have another winner. Best music for a series that is, in fact, Mr. Robot is now officially an Emmy-winning series.
Fantastic. Good job, Mr. Robot. First ever Emmy win.
And we continue the Gold
Congratulations,
Derby
Mac
run.
Quayle. There you go. I spoke with him after he got his very first nomination for American Horror Story Freak Show. So congratulations, Mac. Hope to speak with you again next year.
And they promoted that well. I went to a for your consideration event for Mr. Robot in the late spring, close to for the nominations. And the parting gift was the soundtrack by Mac Quayle. So
Yeah, I have one of those too.
That helps.
So that leaves music and lyrics for music, and then
Yes.
we move on to the stunt categories.
Let's not carry music and lyrics still to come. While we're at this sort of halfway juncture, we'll have a quick look at the scoreboard. We've got Game of Thrones on 5, People vs. OJ, American Horror Story, Downton Abbey, and The Man in High Castle all sitting on 2. And I had a quick look, and interrupt me when we got the next winner, guys. I had a look, and I think there's stunt coordination, sound mixing, sound editing, visual effects, and picture editing, all for Game of Thrones tonight. So its ceiling is 10 for tonight.
Well,
and then it yeah.
Drama supporting guest actor. Isn't that tonight as well?
Oh,
Yes,
that's
you're right.
right.
11. Good catch, Zach. I'll put 11 on the board.
We don't even have enough room for how many Emmys it could win.
Yes.
We have a new update. Emmy winner Diane Warren, The Hunting Ground, won Best Music and Lyrics, Till It Happens to You, but not Lady Gaga, who was nominated for the Oscar for the song. The Emmy rules are a little different. Apparently, she didn't have enough. Her cue sheet she didn't have enough of a percentage of contribution for her to qualify for the nomination. So, but Diane Warren, I talked to her when I interviewed her recently. She joked that if she won this award, that she would become an egg. So she's like half of the EGOT. She has an Emmy and a Grammy. She just needs an Oscar and a Tony.
Well, hopefully we can get her there one day between our efforts, you and me, Daniel.
Yeah, we should get her at least an ego, just like everyone else in Hollywood.
What is after the stunt categories?
Stunt categories are followed by visual effects and supporting visual effects. And then we get back to another acting category, comedy guest actor.
Mm-hmm.
No, that'll be fun. That'll be cool. So yeah, so we've got with Game of Thrones, we've got 11 is the most it can be on tonight. How many does it need to hit to beat the Frasier record?
Well, let's see. It's got 5 now. It's at 31 overall. It needs another 6 to beat Frasier. It needs another 6 to tie Frasier and 7 to beat it.
All right, Frasier on the 11. So if it wins every award tonight, it ties Frasier's record. But all it needs to, because it's still eligible for categories next week, and I guess for 2 more seasons of the show, it's eligible for categories. So it just needs to get in striking distance of that record tonight. So I'll put Frasier on the board.
From what it's done so far, I have a feeling it will at least tie Frasier this year.
Yeah,
overall.
yeah.
It's won. It's only lost like I think 2 or 3 categories, and it's won 5. It might not. I mean, last year it won 8. It set the record for the most creative arts victories last year with 8. It's more than halfway there already, and it's like like Matt is saying, it's got plenty more to go. So, yeah.
Yeah, 11 is its ceiling tonight. You cannot get past 11 tonight, and no show can get past 11 tonight. But we'll be continuing this scoreboard on. Hopefully next week we can have this. We'll save it. We won't delete it. Okay, so the stunt categories. What are we thinking there, guys?
Well, I guess for drama, I've got to go with Game of Thrones because that's just sort of a stuntman's dream there. I mean, most
It keeps
of that
winning
show
stunt ensemble at SAG, even though it doesn't win. It never wins best ensemble.
Is there anything we think that could beat it? Because
what were the other nominees? Did we?
Let me call those back up. The other nominees are The Blacklist, Gotham, Daredevil, and Rush Hour. I would say Daredevil might be the next likeliest option, but none of these other nominees, in terms of broad Emmy support, none of them really have it. So it's hard to rule against Game of Thrones, especially after the season of Battle of the Bastards. In terms of just stunt work, it's hard to bet against it.
Yeah, I think this one's. Just give it to them. It's kind of in there.
Comedy's a little trickier, comedy and variety, because I don't know instinctively where to go with Angie Tribeca, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Casey Undercover, which is a Disney Channel show, Saturday Night Live, and Shameless. Saturday Night Live is the apple in the bag of oranges. It's the only variety series that has the most overall support, but
it's already won an Emmy.
Yeah, and it's hard to know.
Yeah. Brooklyn Nine-Nine has done well before here, and that would be where I would go based on past history. I think Angie Tribeca is an interesting one too, because that's in some ways a similar type of style to Brooklyn Nine-Nine that's won in the past, and it's its first nomination, so it's hard to first season. It's hard to know, if that will sort of pop. But
Interesting thing about SNL is that after Game of Thrones is done wiping the floor with Frasier either this year or next, it's got SNL next up in its sights. But the problem is SNL keeps winning every year, SNL came into these awards with 47. It already won 1, so it's up to 48. And it's just gonna keep pulling away faster than Game of Thrones can try and catch it. And then once Game of Thrones is over, SNL can just keep racking them up.
Yeah.
What's the most awarded show ever? SNL or
series? Yeah, SNL 47 or 48 now.
Yeah, and Saturday Night Live is the show that will be competing tonight. It will be competing tomorrow night, and it will be competing on the third night too. There might be another show or two that compete on all 3, but not many. Like Game of Thrones will be out tomorrow night.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
But
I mean the thing is,
they won 1 tonight, SNL already, right? And then probably, I would say Larry David coming up probably has a chance to win. So that'll put them to 50. Wow.
They're looking good for the chalkboard. Saturday Night Live.
We've got a winner for Best Stunt Coordination for Comedy Variety, and it's actually Shameless.
Shameless. Well.
There you go.
Yeah, I wonder if this might, because we were talking about how Angie Tribeca and Brooklyn Nine-Nine are similar in sort of style and tone. I wonder if we're seeing a plurality vote split kind of thing happen there. Where, and Shameless is also the only, it's also kind of an apple in a bag of oranges. Yeah. It's an hour-long dramedy, single camera series, so it might have benefited from how different it is compared to its rivals.
And it also could just be
move the Game of Thrones bar a little higher. It did just win stunt coordination for a drama or movie mini.
Mm. So we are. We are going to get a few other people to join the call now. I think. Oh no, to 1:30. I was reading my schedule wrong. I was reading. We've got another 10 minutes, guys, before we get some new people on board.
Can't get rid of us that quickly.
What, sorry?
You can't get rid of us that easily.
No, definitely not. So, what are the next categories that are coming up after stunts?
After stunts, we've got special visual effects and special supporting visual effects, so keep your finger primed on Game of Thrones again. And then we've got comedy guest actor, which I'm fairly certain Game of Thrones can't win, but I wouldn't even rule it out.
You don't think guest actor will win?
No, I mean comedy guest actor.
Oh, comedy guest actor. Yeah. I was going to go, oh, you were throwing some shade Max von Sydow's way.
Yeah, I'm actually predicting Max von Sydow, so...
Yeah,
I am too. This reminds me of an Oscars story. When Amadeus was sweeping throughout the categories, one nomination that it did not have was for original score because the film was comprised of recompositions of Mozart's music, right? And so Maurice Jarre won that for A Passage to India, and he got up there and he said, I'm really thankful tonight that Mozart was not eligible for this award.
Well, we didn't even have really time to talk about special visual effects, but yep, it's another notch for Game of Thrones. That's up to 7 for tonight.
It won the stunt coordination Game of Thrones, and it won the visual effects. It is up to 7. Maximum it can win tonight is up to 11. Okay, that's all its categories. And if it sweeps everything else tonight, it gets to that Frasier record equalizer. It puts it in a position where to be the most winning drama or comedy series of all time, they just need to win one award next week.
And it was up against Black Sails, Man in the High Castle, Penny Dreadful, and Vikings. And special visual effects in a supporting role, which it's not nominated in. Nominees are Better Call Saul for the episode Fifi, 11/22/63 for the episode The Rabbit Hole, Hannibal for the episode Primavera. I'm rooting for Hannibal so it can become an Emmy-winning series at last on its way out. And then Sherlock, The Abominable Bride, and The Walking Dead for No Way Out. And I'm going to go with The Walking Dead just because it feels like its visual effects feel like the most on the borderline where it could even go into the main visual effects category. So I'm going to go with Walking Dead.
That sounds like a good bet to me. I'd go Walking Dead here too. Robert?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, they just have the most visual effects too. So it's like Tom always says, the most laughter wins, the most special effects wins. So I'll go with that.
Yeah, it's good. Shay, I was going to add something. I was going to add that. What about guys talking a bit about, because it's coming up quite soon? Is it the comedy guest actor race? Is the next guest actor is coming up?
Comedy guest actor is coming up right after supporting visual effects.
Okay, let's break this category down. I wrote a piece for Gold Derby. As soon as I saw the episode with Larry David at SNL, I thought, he's winning. I can't see anyone else winning. That's I still hold that opinion to a degree. Do anyone here predicting Larry David doesn't win? Or are they predicting, just wait, hold the phone, breaking news, best supporting visual effects has gone to Sherlock, The Abominable Bride. Yeah. So there we go, Sherlock has taken that out, beating The Walking Dead, which you think with zombies and things like that.
Though we know how much they have loved Sherlock in the past, so
they love Sherlock. This is not the first time Sherlock has upset in an Emmy category. Just talking about that, does anyone think that Larry David is not going to win?
No, Larry David, I think, is also helped because he figured prominently in the Trump episode too, the episode that Trump hosted. So even if people don't, they'll have both in their head from watching the show he actually hosted and then his appearance on the Trump show too. But
Larry David has a double episode in this category because he's in the beginning of Tracy Morgan's episode. He's doing the Bernie Sanders thing. That was the first appearance as Bernie Sanders. So I think if anybody could beat him, it would either be Martin Mull or Tracy Morgan. I think if Martin Mull wins this, then we're going to see the same kind of sweep voting applied in the comedy series. But I don't think there's any, because of that double episode and because Larry David's episode was one of the very best episodes of Saturday Night Live this last season and the last couple of seasons. It's got to be him.
Yeah, like I guess there could be some Veep love. I think there's maybe a lot of goodwill for Tracy Morgan. It was a very good response last year when he went to present the Emmy, and I wouldn't be shocked if Tracy Morgan won this. But I just think Larry David is like the male equivalent of Tina Fey's Sarah Palin performance that won this category a couple of years ago. Not just in how good the performance is, but also how it was sort of conceived before it sort of happened, and then it became just such a big part of pop culture and such a big thing outside of the show. So I think it's going to be hard for that one to lose, especially when we're seeing performances like this win categories like this at the Emmys.
I'm wary of Martin Mull. He's a legend, and he could benefit from a potential Veep sweep. And we got a result here. I'm about to click it.
And the winner is
Peter Scolari. Wow.
Oh my God.
What?
The replacement.
Whoa.
That was. I honestly, wow.
That might just be they're just messing with us because Peter Scolari wasn't even nominated in the first go round, and then he had to be added when Peter McNichol dropped out.
Wow.
So they just liked the anarchy of it or something. Or, not to
I
take
wonder
it.
if that helped him. Just the idea of he only got in because someone else was knocked out, and so it's kind of poor guy. He seems like he's in last place, because he was sort of an alternate. Yes, wow, he's also a legend too.
Yeah, 3 nominations for Newhart. So we don't know what we're talking about. We got to get rid of our Emmy experts titles.
Well, I mean, to be fair, this was, first of all, the new voting system is really hard to peg, and the fact that he was an alternate, there was no reason to predict him, because obviously when they voted to nominate, he barely missed the cut, so he didn't get as many votes, at least in the nomination round, as any of his competitors. So that was the evidence we had.
I was going to say, do you think the fact that maybe it was a very strong category, and we do have this new voting system now, that we might have had some, because we had these 3 people who we couldn't choose from, and last year's winner, Bradley Whitford, and another previous winner, Bob Newhart, maybe there was just, the votes are split up all over the place?
This is huge news. This is, to me, the big story of today so far, that the actor who was not nominated did not make the cut to get nominated, but then because of a disqualification on episodes, he got in, was able to win this category. And I think there's so many ways you could look at this. Is it that, the fact that he was a late inclusion gave him more attention and that he stood out through that? Is this a case of the tape system helping? I don't know if he had the best tape, but he didn't have, he had a very sympathetic tape. Is this where the tape has helped him get nominated? Because yeah.
I was just going to say, I wish I could see the ballots, the vote tally, see how close it was.
Yeah.
And I wish I could see his acceptance speech right now. That's got to be very. I mean, could you imagine what he must be thinking right now?
You need to think Riley Chow from our side, because he was the one who he's the one who noticed that Peter McNichol wasn't in enough episodes, and
that's right. This is another this Emmy win was sort of made possible by Gold Derby.
It was Gold Derby news. Yeah.
Well, he better be thanking us right now, or we're going to take back all the nice things that we ever said about him.
It was Gold Derby that brought to the Academy's attention the number of episodes Peter McNichol had been on. Just to clarify that, not because we've got anything against Peter McNichol. We love Peter McNichol. I actually, to be honest, Peter McNichol, I think, gave the best guest performance of the year. So I'm definitely a big Peter McNichol fan. But boy, so we brought that to the Academy's attention. They looked over it. They realized, okay, we've got to make this change. This is the decision they made, and it has led to an Emmy winner. It's perhaps cost Larry David an Emmy.
And he has never won an acting award. Oh, by the way, we do have another winner. I was talking about picture editing for a single camera comedy. We were talking about the CW. This actually did go to Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, which defeated. Just had that up. It defeated Silicon Valley, 2 episodes of Silicon Valley, and 2 episodes of Veep. That's a potential vote-splitting situation right there, because we know obviously those other shows have more overall support. That's very interesting. That's actually kind of shocking, considering the support for Silicon Valley and Veep.
And also a bit apples in the bag of oranges syndrome there, to where, like, you know, because even Silicon Valley and Veep would have some crossover in sort of premium cable, HBO, half-hour sort of comedy. So they're not that similar shows, but yeah, the Crazy Ex-Girlfriend stood out there. So good job, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Lord Freddie Blackfire in our forum says the man who wasn't nominated won Guest Actor? ?
Okay, we have another winner.
Okay, great.
Best drama editing, single camera drama. Just take a wild guess.
I wonder what that could be.
Although actually, it's the award. Now I'm confused because Game of Thrones has 2 nominations in this category, so I'm not sure which one it won for.
Game of Thrones won. Good job, Game of Thrones. We'll move you up to 8.
What else did it beat?
Well, it was nominated for Battle of the Bastards and Oathbreaker. If I had to take a guess, I'd say it won for Battle.
Yeah.
It beat 2 episodes of Better Call Saul, Nailed and Rebecca, and it beat 1 episode of Narcos Descenso.
Isn't this interesting? Like in the last editing category, we were talking about the potential of vote splitting, and then we saw that didn't matter this go round. Is it because, well, I don't know which episode won, so I don't want to theorize quite yet. But, I mean, if it is Battle of the Bastards, could it just be that there's more overall support for that episode? If that makes... Just because it's a more apparently edited episode?
Yeah, when I was talking to Chris about this, I sort of coined the phrase, it's the Steven Soderbergh effect, where if you're nominated twice, but one of them is the obvious choice, then you won't vote split. So in this case, I would think that Battle of the Bastards, just on the basis of that gigantic, the title battle, would be the obvious choice in categories like this, and potentially in directing next week, where it's also up against another Game of Thrones episode. So assuming Battle of the Bastards won, which I don't know for sure yet, I'm going to actually look into that, then that might be the factor.
So up next is picture editing for a limited series, right?
And I might ask if Tom O'Brien wants to join the chat now, so we can start to get his thoughts. The rest of you stay on. We'll wait till Tom gets on board, and I'll ask since Charles was on earlier, I'll ask him to join us in about 5 minutes. About 5 minutes time, I'll get Charles.
We've got that winner is in though for editing for a movie miniseries, and it's The People vs. O.J. Simpson. It finally comes back a little bit. That's its 3rd win.
Yeah,
All right.
Finally chasing Game of Thrones. I can't help but feel it's left it a little too late.
Well, but actually, worth also noting that picture editing win for Game of Thrones, whichever episode it's for, that's number 8. That ties what it did last year for the whole night.
Yeah, so we're talking about Game of Thrones records, and I think the one we need to also be quite mindful of is that it is chasing now its own record of 12 Emmys in a season, the most a drama series has ever won. And at this point, it's looking in a pretty good chance to next week overtake that. Even if it doesn't win anything else tonight, it's still got a chance of winning 4 next week. I think it probably needs to win 1 or...
One more record. The most awards won by any program in a single night was John Adams. It won 13. So that's right up there too. If Game of Thrones keeps rolling along, if it wins even 1 or 2 more tonight, I think it's a lock to break even that record.
Yeah, I think if it wins 2 awards tonight, if it wins at least 2 more, it'll beat its own record next week, and the John Adams thing looks pretty good. So I think if it's sorry, go.
What happened with Diana Rigg? Was she just not nominated, or did she not have enough?
She was in 5. She couldn't submit a guest, and they didn't submit supporting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So up next is picture editing for comedy. Multi-camera. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
can we go through the nominees there?
yeah. Give me one.
Yeah.
Second.
No worries.
So many multi-camera.
Yeah.
Well, I know that Mom's edited, isn't it? Can't even. Does somebody else have the nominees in front of them? I can't.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. Daniel, have you got them?
Okay, picture editing for multicam.
Yeah.
Yes, I've got those. The Big Bang Theory, the opening night excitation, Horace and Pete, episode 103, Last Man Standing for The Road Less Driven, Mike and Molly for I See Love, Mom for Atticus Finch and the Downtrodden, and Two Broke Girls for And the Sax Problem. Now,
And
interesting.
the Big Bang Theory just won.
Oh, it did.
That was the most unenthusiastic announcement of a winner for the night. No disrespect to the Big Bang Theory. Congratulations. The Big Bang Theory won for outstanding multi-camera editing for a comedy series.
We're so excited. Honestly, I think we're just, first of all, I think, for me, I'm just still looking for which Game of Thrones episode won picture editing, and we're all probably still reeling a little bit from Peter Scolari.
That is the jaw dropper of the night. Who knows what is still yet to come? We haven't had Tom come on yet, like I asked. Let's just check my emails, make sure he's not struggling. Haven't heard from him. I'm not getting an email from him yet. So Tom, join us if you want. Tom, you got another. We've got still a bit of show to go. A few more. No comedy series has really broken out tonight, which isn't a huge shock with these creative arts. You usually see more your Boardwalk Empires, Game of Thrones do well out of tonight rather than a comedy series.
I just opened up another Emmy list, and it does say Battle of the Bastards did win single camera picture editing.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we got.
record that's up for tonight is I think if Allison Janney wins, she'll tie the record for most wins ever by an actor. She'll tie Cloris Leachman for I guess it's
only
8.
for the primetime Emmys though, because Cloris Leachman has 1 daytime Emmy, so she's got 9 total. But she's got 8 primetime Emmys, and Allison Janney's looking for that one.
Cloris will never let her forget that.
I will never let anyone forget that, because people always exclude the daytime Emmys. And it's like, it counts. It's an Emmy. It's the same statue. It's the same industry. It's a sort of a different offshoot academy, but it's still an Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. So it's do not sleep on the daytime Emmys.
Well, Allison Janney's up for 2, so if she wins both, she'll tie her, I guess.
Absolutely.
So we got up next is sound editing for a series. Is that right? And I finally have nominees in front of me. That's Black Sails, Game of Thrones. The Black Sails episode is episode 20. Game of Thrones, The Door, Gotham, Azrael. I hope I pronounced that right. Daredevil, New York's Finest, and Vikings, The Last Ship. Anything that could beat Game of Thrones, or have we relegated the rest of the evening to to the land
at this point, there's no evidence to predict anything but Game of Thrones. I would feel silly saying anything else will win, and because there's not even another nominee in this category that has that kind of broad Academy support. So I'm sticking with Game of Thrones. Until it starts losing significantly, you bet on Game of Thrones, you're going to get like 60, 70, 80% right at this point.
So then, for limited series sound editing, which is immediately after that, we have American Horror Story Hotel, Fargo, The Night Manager, Roots, and Sherlock: The Abominable Bride. Is there a frontrunner in that category?
I don't think so, actually. I mean, Fargo has the most support overall. The Night Manager, has already won tonight. American Horror Story Hotel has shown surprising strength tonight. And Sherlock has been a darling of the Creative Arts Awards before. It's won multiple in years past. So honestly, poor Roots. It's the only one I didn't mention. It's the only one I would probably rank that fifth in terms of what I would be expecting to win this, just considering what the other ones would probably do.
Yeah, and I think it's hard. It is hard for a Roots that is living sort of in the shadow a bit of such an iconic miniseries, like the original Roots that just made Emmy history and made television history and things like that. It's a tough, I feel like that it was always on a bit of the back foot with just being on the forefront of people's minds. Like, I don't know if that's right or wrong, but
No, I agree with you, Matt. I mean, I actually just purchased the original Roots on Blu-ray, and I mean, it still holds up very well, and it's still something that's taught in high schools, and it's still something that families watch once a year. So, I can understand the wanting to recreate it for a new generation, but at the same time, the original Roots is still beloved. So,
Yeah, didn't get any acting nominations at all, which was, with considering the stellar cast, kind of surprising.
Yeah, it really, and it's the same thing with American Crime, I think. In those long-form categories, The People versus O.J. Simpson just sucked the air out of the room. There was no room for all the multiple nominations, no nominations in any category for Show Me a Hero. And Crime underperformed, and Roots underperformed in the acting categories. Because other than say Forrest Whitaker and maybe Anika Noni Rose, there are no A-list name cast members in it that are readily recognizable by Emmy voters, and we know they love the big names, so that probably hurt it too. Even though I interviewed like half of the cast, and the Gold Derby bump should have been there.
oh, Daniel, imagine how I felt with that. I know this is a different ceremony, but I interviewed every single person associated with Underground, it seemed, and not a single nomination. So that's I felt like the most worthless Gold Derby interviewer on the planet. It makes me proud to see people I've talked to winning tonight. It revalidates me.
yeah. Oh.
Yeah, well, don't worry, it's not that bad for us. It's not the Dixon curse. It's it could be worse. We don't have curses named after us yet, so.
That's right.
Yeah. How many more categories do we have tonight? Like 5, 6, like 7,
We've
8,
got,
10, 12, 20?
After the sound editing, well, sound that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11.
Well, we've got 2 more major categories.
Oh, the Giant Killer, Black Sails wins sound editing.
Oh, so no record tonight, Game of Thrones.
No.
Well, not yet.
Yeah, not yet. That's well, I have to say, the episode that they were nominated for, there's this huge. It centers around a storm that's knocking the ship back and forth in the ocean. So there's a lot of intricate sound work in that episode. So that I think that win is well deserved. And sound people recognize that. How much work goes into creating wind and rain and water effects and all that stuff. And,
when it comes to sound categories, I think there are 2 things to count on, and it's water and war. If you got water, but if it's a rainy day on the battlefield, then watch out. That's your sound editing winner.
Yes. Boy, oh boy. Well, what do you say when the Frasier record is at your door? Game of Thrones says, not today.
Literally at the door was the episode of
It
Game
was
of
at the door. Yeah, it was at the door. It was not. It was not held for them to walk through today, but we'll see. It's looking good for next week though. It's sitting on 8. So yeah.
So next we have the we already talked about limited series. So, but after that, it's our next acting award, which is drama guest actor, right?
Okay, let's break down the drama guest actor category. This is a big category to talk about.
Okay, the nominees are Marshala Ali for House of Cards, Hank Azaria, Ray Donovan, the defending champ Reggie Cathy for House of Cards, Michael J. Fox, The Good Wife, Paul Sparks for House of Cards, and Max von Sydow for Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I'm predicting Max von Sydow, but you know, Reggie Cathy does have 2 terrific scenes in his episode. I mean, and he is the defending champion. But if we are just seeing them vote for Game of Thrones the way we've been seeing them, except for this last award, of course, then it might just, you know, we might just be seeing Max von Sydow. And this guy is like, he's never won a major Hollywood award. Can you believe that? He's been in this business for like 70 years. And
2 Oscar nominations, and now this is his 2nd Emmy nomination. He was never nominated for an Oscar for any of his most iconic films with Ingmar Bergman, which is kind of shocking.
Yeah,
but I'm actually going to change my prediction to a write-in vote for Peter Scolari. So.
Well, that's right. So we saw this big surprise with Peter Scolari. Could we see another big surprise, do you guys think? Who could be a spoiler here?
We have another winner, by the way, right before the drama guest actor category is announced. Sound editing for Movie Mini, that's Fargo.
Fargo's up to 2. It makes the board. What? I think Max is up. Like, I don't think most of the guys beating Max in this category would not be as shocking as the Peter Scolari win in the comedy side. And Game of Thrones has not been untouchable tonight. It has lost categories. I wouldn't say that he was their biggest lock going into tonight either for Game of Thrones. I think they've won other categories that you would have been as confident in them winning. So I don't think it's a certainty for him. And there's like, they could go any number of ways here. Like Michael J. Fox, Hank Azaria. Like there's some heavy hitters in this lineup.
It's too bad voting wasn't still going on when people started to see Moonlight, you know, because when Marshala Ali got all those terrific reviews for his performance in that movie and is now in the hunt for his first Oscar nomination in supporting actor.
And deservedly so. I've seen the film, and if maybe there was still buzz trickling out beforehand, maybe it might have helped. But yeah, he's absolutely fantastic in it. I've been a fan of his. Had my eye on him since the 4400 on USA. So I'm really, really happy that he's having this really fantastic career moment this year.
I agree. Yeah, he's a fantastic movie. Cannot wait for its to talk about it at the Oscars, at our Oscar coverage. I just lost track of what I was saying there.
I guess this probably is Max von Sydow. I mean, it just served something for so long, and he's never, you know, as you said, he never won an Oscar, only 2 nominations, and he was pretty, wasn't it like a couple of years ago? I guess that was when Christopher Plummer won for Beginners. There was sort of a swell, I think, that he might be the surprise winner at that time. So I don't know if they'll remember any of that, but that could maybe help him.
Yeah, we should say, I mean, he got nominated for that Oscar kind of surprisingly so. I mean, nobody was really predicting him. He didn't factor in at the Globes or SAG or anywhere. He just got in on sheer respectability alone, you know.
In the chat room, in the Gold Derby forums,
we just got a winner, and yeah, and it's
Hello.
Hank Azaria. It's Hank Azaria and Ray Donovan.
Hank Azaria.
We gotta give.
Hank. I spoke with Hank about this. Was he the only nominee in this category that spoke with Gold Derby?
I believe he was. Yeah. So
Paul Sparks? Or I don't know. No, I don't think so. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Gold Derby bump once again.
Hank Azaria, the only one in this category who spoke with us, he got a win. Big congrats, Hank. He was great to talk to, nice guy. And talked about how fun it was like to come in as a sort of regular guest. Like he sort of isn't there for the whole season, but he's now used to coming in every year and knows everyone and feels like part of the show. It's nice when actors win this who have been part of the show for a little bit of time, and I do think that's a nice thing. Like this is something he's been working on for a couple of years and can win it out. We don't like to see the category fraud when it's someone who's in every episode of a show or something like that, which is impossible now. But I do like it when those happen. So congratulations, Hank. Really good job. Another Emmy upset, and Game of Thrones can now only get. There are only one more category or two more tonight.
Let me see here.
Well, sound mixing is coming up next. I'd be shocked if Game of Thrones does not have a nomination for sound mixing.
Oh, someone's joining us. Charles, you finally got back in, mate.
So
yeah,
I
I
think
used our backup account.
The backup account.
And by the way, just for for a little more context on his area, it's not all that surprising because this is now his 6th Emmy.
Right.
And his how many has he won for on-screen acting? Actually, this is just his 2nd for on-screen acting after Tuesdays with Maury.
I made that mistake yesterday in our in the slugfest I did with Marcus and Ralph. I accidentally said that he had never won outside of The Simpsons, so I need to eat crow on that one.
Tuesdays with Maury.
Well,
Yeah.
we have another winner, and we have a new record. Game of Thrones wins 9 Creative Arts, and counting if it has maybe 1 or 2 more, I'm not sure.
I think this is the last one it's eligible because I'm just looking at the categories. It's sound mixing for half hour, limited series, commercial, interactive. Is it up for interactive program? No.
It might be. It might be.
Let me check real quick. Game of Thrones main titles 360 experience. Would we count that towards its?
This
I'm
is
not sure.
reigniting the debate I had about the West Wing documentary special counting for the West Wing talent. According to the Emmys website of listing shows, it lists it as a separate show.
Okay.
So I haven't counted it in my factoring in, So I don't think it counts. I think it's a separate entity now. Yeah. So there we go. Game of Thrones on 9 Emmy wins. That last year would have been equal record of most a drama series has ever won. So the fact they've been able to do that, and they didn't get that many last year at the Creative Arts, so they are on track to beat their own record now this year. Very exciting.
And the interesting thing is, it would have to underperform next week, not to break its own record and to at least tie John Adams for most wins for a program in a single year. So it's looking pretty good.
We got an interesting winner in now for sound mixing for comedy or drama series, half hour, and animation. The nominees were Modern Family, Mozart in the Jungle, Silicon Valley, The Simpsons, and Veep. And Mozart in the Jungle has taken this one.
Oh, Venice.
Wow.
Not a surprise at all. If War and Rain win sound editing, then music wins sound mixing.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
sounds good. Okay, Robert, I might ask you to lead the chat now because we're a bit crowded at the moment. Could you just X the thing and not press the hang up button? Okay, so just just close the window, press the little X in your top left or right hand corner. Yeah, I think once or twice. I think in the past I've had someone hang up, and it's sort of, I don't know. I've had someone hang up in the past and it's closed the chat or something. I don't know if that's still something that kink that's been worked out or not. But anyway, let's do a bit of a lap of the chat room. Ayan up at hey, I am so sorry for mispronouncing your name. Says Peter Scolari. What? Okay, that makes no sense. There's no way he should have defeated Larry David. How did this happen? I mean, it's a good win. It's not a Margot Martindale type win, but
I was going to say, is he
wow.
this year's Margot Martindale?
There's still time.
There's
still
time.
We've still got Margot Martindale to be this year's Margot Martindale.
And he says, at least Girls Stella season 5 has an Emmy, so that's good too.
An interesting thing to note after, with Mozart in the Jungle, it's been a pretty good night for Amazon. 3 of their shows have won. Mad in the High Castle, which is kind of surprising, is their big winner so far with 2. Mozart in the Jungle has 1 and Transparent has 1. But yeah, good night for Amazon.
We just got another winner.
Oh, yep. Another winner, Zachary. Please tell us.
We got the winner for sound mixing for a limited series or movie. The nominees were Fargo, Night Manager, People vs. O.J. Simpson, Sherlock, The Abominable Bride, and True Detective. The winner was The People vs. O.J. Simpson.
Up to 5. So they're having a good. And look, we've talked about them losing a few, but they've had a really good night. Wait, what are they on? Are they on 4 or 5?
Yeah, I think they have 4. Casting, hairstyling, picture editing, and sound mixing.
Okay, they're on 4. So the people with O.J. Simpson, they've had a good night for a show that isn't like a period mini-series or isn't highly stylized or anything like that. That's a good haul for the people versus O.J. Simpson. In the chat room, Hank Atypical says, Hank Azaria, totally called it, bitches. Sleep on Ray Donovan all you want to, but it's coming next year. So,
I gotta say, Ray Donovan has really gone up in Emmy estimation for Emmy esteem, I should say, in the past few years. It seems to be a show that voters are really catching on to and seem to love. Is this his first Emmy win?
It might be. Yeah.
Definitely his first acting win. I think Ray. And was this. I could have missed a guess from past years, but is this Girls' first acting win as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Girls are, as always, Girls doing very well with they've done better with the men, the Girls show, ironically. Done better with the men, with the Adam Driver getting the most nominations. And
it's so Hollywood, where the show titled Girls, the people with the most recognition are the men.
People watching that, oh boy, the men are good in this.
In this instance, though, is it sort of saying something about the girls, though? That even in a show about the girls, maybe the men are the most tolerable?
Yeah, they got the like, oh, let's watch this show, Girls. Oh boy, the men are
which
really
just inherently proves sexism.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's actually only the second
girls.
It's only the second Emmy win ever for Girls. The only other award it won was casting. I think that was back in its first season.
Yep.
Not that it was reflected in awards at all, but I actually think like Mad Men was also a show that was sort of ironically the women in the show were just as good, if not better, than the men.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we just got the winner for Best Commercial.
Oh, great.
The nominees were Dear Peyton, Love Has No Labels. I guess I should say what these were for. For Gatorade, Dear Peyton, Love Has No Labels for Ad Council, Maryland for Snickers, Paper for Honda, and Year in Search 2015 for Google. The nominee was
Love Has No Labels had to have won, right?
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. I was just looking over these nominees. I was watching these before before we started this evening, and the Love Has No Labels one. There was one that premiered in March of 2015, and that would have been eligible for last year's Emmys, correct?
Oh, we've lost someone.
No, I'm here. I just was turning on a light.
That would have been eligible for last year's Emmys. And the one that had John Cena that got all the press this year, that premiered, I think, July 4th. So I'm not sure which one it actually is winning for.
It's, I can't remember exactly what ad this was. It feels like, for some reason, I vaguely remember something like this airing on the Super Bowl, possibly? Was there a Love Has No Labels Super Bowl ad?
There's only the 2 that I found, and those are the ones I just brought up. The one that aired back in 2015 is has you see these people behind a screen and you see their skeletons interacting, and then you see what kind of people they are afterwards. It's actually really nice. It has Same Love playing in the background. I love the John Cena one that came out a couple months ago. That was wonderful.
On Twitter, Amanda Spears has congratulated Rob LaCuria for being right about Hank Azaria. So there you go, Rob. Hats off to you.
I was going to say, I mean, when we did our initial chat about the drama guest actor nominees, he said, I've got to go with Hank Azaria, and we all called him crazy. So it seems that we were the crazy ones.
Yeah.
So
I would also just say one last note about the commercial category. If you get a chance, you should take a look at the Honda ad that was nominated, the paper ad. It's very, very impressively done. It's a cool. It's like stop motion animation showing the 60-year history of Honda. It's fantastic.
Next up is interactive program. Those nominees are Conan, as we mentioned, Game of Thrones, main titles 360 Experience, which is a title that has no punctuations in it. It's very confusing. Then there's The Late Late Show with James Corden, Saturday Night Live interactive experience, and Talking Dead interactive experience.
I'm just going to throw a dart at the wall and say Game of Thrones because maybe they're just going to assume that it's another nominee for the show. But then again, it's just lost like, what, 3 awards, so it could be off about that. Maybe James Corden could win this.
Yeah, I could see a James Corden taking this out.
Especially,
Talking
I mean...
Dead. I actually don't like Talking Dead, but I love Chris Hardwick, so I'm always rooting for him to win anything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's already winning a juried award for Best Social TV Experience, so even if he doesn't win this one, he's got one in the bag.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So
this is coming to a close soon. We've got, like, what, 20 more? No, just...
20...
No, it's four more. We've got interactive program, best narrator, then best children's program, and then, of course, best drama guest actress. They're going to close us out on Margot Martindale. Watch.
I'm kind of thankful that they did split this up into 2 evenings because I'm just like doing 4 hours of this nonstop would have just
all right.
Last year's Zach 20 more categories would have been the home stretch of these awards.
But we do have that winner of best interactive program, and it is Late Late Show with James Corden.
There we go.
He's been
not
very
too
good.
surprising. Yeah, not too surprising given just the buzz around, especially Carpool Karaoke. I think any Emmys he's winning is primarily for Carpool Karaoke, and a little extra for the Tonys. That buzz.
Do you think this bodes well for him at the primetime ceremony, that he could actually upset John Oliver and win for Variety Talk Show? Or is this their way of saying, congratulations on a good first year, here's your Emmy, but we got to give it to somebody else?
I don't think it's happening for Corden in the Variety Series category. I wouldn't underestimate him necessarily, but I don't think this means he's going to win. Oh, we already have another winner, do we? Yes, Best Narrator, which Keith David has won that. I will say who all the nominees were. Keith David won for Jackie Robinson. He was also nominated. Adrian Brody for Breakthrough. Anthony Mendez for Jane the Virgin, the only nomination for Jane the Virgin yet again. David Attenborough, the legend, for Life Story. And Lawrence Fishburne for Roots, another loss for Roots.
We should say that Keith David is like the Meryl Streep of this category because I believe this is his 3rd win for narrating a Ken Burns documentary. So if I were a betting man, I would have put money on that.
Well, he just has that great voice that is just wonderful for that type of thing, and so I would give him all the Emmys for that.
So we've got 2 more. I'm sorry, Daniel.
No, I was just going to say, Keith David's voice is just singular and amazing. The only other voice in this category who I'd say is on that level is actually Attenborough.
I actually would have loved to have seen Keith David get nominated for when he did for when he narrated the Ken Burns parody episode of Community with the pillow fort versus the blanket fort, and he was magnificent in that on so many levels.
We just got another winner here. It looks like.
Good grief! What is it?
Yeah, it's Charlie Brown.
Fantastic.
It's your 50th Christmas, Charlie Brown. That defeated Dog with a Blog, Girl Meets World, School of Rock, and most surprisingly to me, because it seems like it's usually her category, Nick News with Linda Ellerby. Hello, I Must Be Going. 25 years of Nick News with Linda Ellerby.
They'll celebrate Nick News covering almost anything except Nick News.
I haven't actually seen this Charlie Brown special, but I'm a big Peanuts fan, so that's pretty. That I'm always happy to see Charlie Brown get a win.
That brings us to Drama Guest Actress as the last one up. The nominees are Ellen Burstyn in House of Cards, Allison Janney, Masters of Sex, who has won before, Margot Martindale for The Americans, who has won this last year, Laurie Metcalf, Horace and Pete, Molly Parker, House of Cards, and Carrie Preston, The Good Wife. Interestingly, Marley Parker, the only one in this category who isn't already an Emmy winner in years past. So, at this point, and that it wouldn't surprise me the way the night has gone for guest acting categories.
I hope that Ellen Burstyn wins so I can get at least one of these right.
I already got my one with Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, so I'm set.
I knew I wasn't going to get that one right, but I was like, well, never know. Maybe that'll be this big surprise that no one sees coming. Like,
this was, of all the guest acting categories, the one I was least confident in predicting, and I've been wrong about 2 of the 4. So, or 2 of the 3 we've had so far. So, but hopefully, we can get Laurie Metcalf in here, and I can get the 2 wins.
I think it's the best shot.
I
don't have her winning, but God, I want her to win.
And
I don't have her winning either, but I would not be upset if she won, if for no other reason than I feel bad for anyone who gets multiple Emmy nominations in a year and doesn't win anything, and especially for someone of her caliber to have this great sort of comeback year where everyone rediscovers how much they love Laurie Metcalf. But I've been wrong about every single other award tonight, so that's maybe that'll work.
To be fair, though, I mean, Laurie Metcalf, even if she doesn't win any awards this year, doesn't win any of her 3 nominations, she's got 3 trophies already. So I mean, those are a couple decades ago, but they're still there. I hope she hasn't pawned them for any reason. But yeah, she's a 3-time Emmy winner for Roseanne.
If she does ever need to pawn them, Laurie, call me.
Well, maybe she'll win at the primetime ceremony, because didn't she beat Julia Louis-Dreyfus all those times that she won for Roseanne?
I believe so, yeah.
Julie, watch out. Your old Emmy rival is back. Speaking of Veep, did Veep win anything tonight, Matt?
It won casting.
Casting.
Open
It won
the
casting.
night with the casting.
And
Which is
casting
what
was
it
a
won
big deal.
last. Which is what it won last year too, I believe.
All program winners last year.
And we
won
have
casting.
a winner. We have a winner for Best Guest Actress
Oh my
for
God,
the
it
drama
happened
series.
again!
Congratulations, Margot Martindale!
Again!
Okay.
Winning Best Guest Actress in a
I
drama
want to do. I don't know if anyone has done the math. I don't think I have to do the math, but I think this is the fewest minutes of screen time to have won 2 Emmys. Combine it, it's like 3 minutes.
So it looks like Margot Martindale her way into another Emmy win.
Should we be this surprised? Like, this was the Americans' best, most well-received season by the Emmys of all time.
I think Charlie's broken.
I think I broke my monitor.
Okay.
Crap.
Oh, I have this blue face on my life because I'm so sad that I didn't get any of those right.
Oh, my.
God Almighty!
We've got
We got a Margot Martindale.
Okay. We've got Yes. This is interesting. Does anyone want to speak? Boy, Margot Munda, she's won it again. Good job, Margot. And this, like, the Americans are now on the board this year. They've got a drama series nomination for the first time. Everything like that. We've got.
This poor woman,
We'll
every
see.
time she wins an Emmy, we just get so upset.
Margot Martindale is a fantastic actress. She deserves 3 Emmys, but not for the minute and a half they give her every season, the last couple of seasons of The Americans. I want her to win an Emmy next year, but to be in, 4 or 5 episodes, do what Margot Martindale is capable of doing. She is a phenomenal actress. She just wasn't nominated or win for one of her phenomenal performances.
I agree with you. Her win for Justified was one of my favorite Emmy wins of the last few years, and I thought was so totally deserved. I love her in every single thing I've ever seen her in. But yeah, I mean, is this an example of, because we talked about this last year of them not watching the episodes? So based on the winners that we've had tonight, are they watching the episodes or are they not?
Well, just wait a second. We're going to wrap this show in about maybe 10 minutes, maybe 5-10 minutes. Okay. I know Amanda had strong feelings on Laurie Metcalf. If she would like to come on and join us and just have a sort of bit of a free-for-all to end, that's fine. Also going to say if Tony Roots would want to come on, I know he's got some quite strong opinions. And I think, we'll have a bit of a free-for-all. But yes, Zach, what were you saying?
I was saying, are they, based on the 4 acting winners that we've seen tonight, are they watching the episodes or are they not?
It's a hard one. For me, because I don't think these are the names that you would think would win if, they were just doing a popular name check. What show do we like the most? What people do we like the most? But these aren't necessarily the performance that I think would have won under a tape system either. Can you get some headphones in, Tony?
Oh, stand by.
That's okay. It's okay. I've muted him. So, until we get those headphones in. So I don't know. To me, the winners don't seem to give a strong argument one way or the other. But what do you think, Charles? You're shaking your head.
I don't know what to think at this point. I mean, I got nothing. I got nothing. This is crazy that this happened again. And as I think Daniel probably put it the best way, Margot Martindale is someone who absolutely deserves to have 3 Emmys on her mantle. Hell, she probably deserves to have more than that. But to have 2 consecutive wins for this, especially for something that I think I actually have a theory. I think FX kidnapped the children of every Emmy voter out there and did some weird psychological shit. That's what I think they did. They wanted this so badly. And if they did that, listen, Margot Martindale's great. Do it for Matthew Rhys. Do it for Kerry Russell. Do it for Archer. But please, prioritize why you kidnapped these people's children. I beg of you.
The moral of this story is kidnap children for the right reasons.
Daniel, you get it.
Yeah.
I gotta clean up my room after this, damn
it. Amanda can't get back into the chat room, but she has sent me a message. Scolari and Martindale should not have won. Should not have won. Tony, what are your takes on the big wins tonight?
Well, I think the moral is that Charlie's theory had more words in it than Margot Martindale's entire scene in The Americans. when I wrote the profile of Margot Martindale's episode, I counted the words. She said 65 words in 1 minute and 32 seconds. And that's what she won an Emmy for. I just want that to lay there. And I want us to ponder that. She actually said only 65 words. as opposed to the 94 words she said the year before when she won. They are name checking in this category, at least.
I will be watching these 4 acting tapes over the next couple of days because I want to look at them through the eyes of knowing that they would go on to win an Emmy for this performance, just to see how much of a role or how little of a role the tapes played in these categories, or potentially played in these categories. Yeah, it's Daniel, do you have any thoughts?
I don't think tapes mattered. Margot Martindale is really all you need to demonstrate that. I think Tina Fey and Amy Poehler could have won on name recognition, on name checking. Even if they had a great episode. The same is true of Hank Azaria. Honestly, like I said, this is his 6th Emmy. He's beloved at the Emmys. Even if we don't necessarily see it from the outside, and we don't see all the love for Ray Donovan from the outside, that's not a surprise, or it's not a shocking win. That's not a Martindale kind of surprise. Peter Scolari, that feels like kind of this year's Reggie Cathy, where sort of this character actor, veteran, long working history in Hollywood gets his due at last, unexpectedly. So that also could have happened without watching the episodes, especially given the publicity that came from the fact that he was nominated only after Peter McNichol was disqualified. So I really think this is a strong case in favor of the tapes are kind of out the window.
And what does this preview for the primetime ceremony, do we think?
Well, yesterday I was actually curious. So I did I put together a list of categories at the primetime ceremony, the main ceremony, in terms of which categories have the potential for repeat wins and what our combined odds at Gold Derby are saying. So there are 15 categories where we have a possibility of a repeat winner. 13 of them we are currently predicting will repeat. All of the comedy categories are, if our current forecast is correct, will be the same with the exception of directing. Two-thirds of the drama categories are going to be repeats. So I think it's going to be even worse than we complained about certain repeat winners from years ago, like when Doris Roberts won 3 in a row, and then she won another one for the final season of Raymond. I think this is going to be. They may be deserved winners, but I think it's going to go overboard.
Everyone, switch your predictions now to Peter Dinklage before you're disappointed.
Yet again, yeah.
I think, though, to be fair, like on the comedy side of things, Charles, like Veep is favourite to win writing again, but they had a different writing team this year, so it would be different writers. Correct.
I'm actually predicting that Transparent will win for comedy directing. So, if my predictions are correct, then it'll win. They'll just repeat all over the board.
So Zach is predicting it across the. Zach thinks we're not.
Even if it's a different. Even if it's a different writing team, you'll still, if they do the announcements as they're walking up to the stage, you'll hear the team from Veep won this category last year, and that'll start off the evening. That's going to be the crazy thing, because that's going to start off the evening. Comedy's going to be the first group of categories announced, and it's if you have that when they're walking up the stage, you're going to hear every time they won this award last year. They won this award last year.
Yeah, and that's. Yeah, sorry,
I was just going to say, does anybody think that there might be any kind of, because the one thing we might not be taking into account with particularly the comedy supporting actor category is that there's 2 Veep guys in there. Could vote splitting happen? We saw a couple of things that pointed maybe to vote splitting with some of these creative arts winners.
I was going to say I should backtrack what I said about all of them repeating, because I actually am predicting that all of those Veep nominations in writing and directing are going to work against them. The same thing with acting; it could work against them. Because in the past, when you were ranking the nominees, and you had 3 nominees in comedy directing, there was a chance that you would go Veep, 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 and so out of those, you just get one of the Veep winners. Same thing in writing and perhaps in acting as well. But I do think that maybe vote splitting could be a thing if you're just checking off one. Now, is that going to affect the repeat winners like a Peter Dinklage? Maybe not. But it could work against some of these, I guess, non-returning champions in some other categories.
And I do think in some of the open races, we are defaulting to last year's winner rather than necessarily going, Tony Hale's got this in the bag. Like, I think that category could go a number of ways, and because I can see it going a number of ways, I'm just going with the sort of incumbent. But I could see Matt Walsh winning that category, just as easily. Like, I think he's very well respected in the industry, and he had a great season like Tony did. So I don't think there's necessarily all these categories are just already just everyone who won last year. But it does look like we're going to get a lot of repeat winners this year. Does seem to be where we're heading.
More so than usual. I think that was really the point I was trying to make there.
Yeah, in supporting actress, I think it's going to come down to do they love Janny that much, or do they love Veep that much to give Klumsky her first Emmy?
Well, I think it's going to be more. It's going to be more Janny because Klumsky had a great episode last year and still couldn't pull off that win. So, and unfortunately she didn't have as much this year. So
not at all.
Yeah. So I think it's a possibility, but I don't know.
I actually think that Janny is hurt more by the tapes being less of a factor. That, like, if it was on tapes, I think Janny wins. If it's more just going with the, what they're feeling, because like the CBS comedies did very well on the tape system, from John Cryer to Melissa McCarthy to Julia Louis-Dreyfus in The New Adventures of Old Christine. We saw a lot of upsets from shows like that.
Don't forget Jim Parsons for 4 years.
Jim Parsons as well. Yeah,
and all those years that Everybody Loves Raymond won.
Yeah. So I think that Janny would hold up much better on a tape system, but I think she's still really loved and beloved and will probably win again too. I think. But I think Klumsky's one hope is maybe that tapes are a bit less of a factor. Not because her performance is not great, but because those sort of big, bombastic CBS comedy performances do quite well under a tape system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We've got
Do we all say Maggie Smith? Are we all going to switch to Maggie
She could
Smith
win.
now?
I've had Maggie Smith since the beginning, so
I'm switching to Maggie Smith. That feels like a Martindale. That feels like a Scolari. Even last year they gave it to Uzo Aduba, even though Orange is the New Black didn't have a lot of love overall. Now there's even more potential to split the vote for Game of Thrones because there's one extra actress nominated, and they love Dame Maggie.
Yeah, and there seemed to be some love tonight for Downton Abbey. Won a couple of awards. It's its final season. A bit of sentiment. I think Maggie's really in the hunt here. I think that race is quite an open one, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, I could see Maura Tierney winning that too if there's further Game of Thrones splitting.
Maura Tierney would have to be a tape situation.
Yes.
I do not see how she wins, and you couldn't argue that there weren't voters watching the tapes.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't, I don't know how that she would win on a vote if it was just on popularity. So, and that's what I'm looking for next week. I'm looking for, is there a performance that you could point to the tapes being the primary reason why they won? Because we saw some good tapes win last year, but they were from past winners or front runners or stuff like that. And that's, I think, will be until we see a winner from a tape that it has to have been the tape that got them over the line. I think the skepticism about whether the tapes are still important is fair. And I think do we see a Moratini win? Do we see a the baskets guy win? Lewis win?
Louis Anderson.
Louis Anderson.
Louis Anderson. Yeah, do we see Louis Anderson win? Do we see a I'm sure there's another couple that
Do we see Schreiber win? Schreiber had a fantastic tape, but
yeah, and Schreiber's tape.
He's going up against, the two biggies in that category, which are Spacey and maybe Malik and maybe Odenkirk.
Hey, he could win. Ray
I'd say
Donovan just won.
Odenkirk would be, and I think if Odenkirk won, that would also be down to tape. I do not think Better Call Saul is I think if there was a lot of love for that show or a lot of attention on that show by voters, we would have seen a Ray Seahorn get in and things like that. So I think that an Odenkirk is relying on a strong monologue at the end of his tape to win that. So be interesting to see who we can, if we do see anyone pop up, because it seemed to be last year that they'd moved away from tapes. Also, where things stand for next week, Game of Thrones on 9 currently. It's eligible for series, supporting actor, supporting actress, directing and writing next week, which is, I think, 5. I think I've counted correctly. 5 plus 1, which is 4. Yeah. Well, sorry?
I'm writing my report, so I just finished that paragraph. It needs 3 to tie its record from last year. It needs 4 of those to tie John Adams for the most awards for any program in a single year. And if it's a clean sweep, then it's another new record.
New record, is that the Frasier? No, it beats Frasier when it wins 2. A new record. So there we go. If it wins all those 5 categories next week, it'll be on 14. That is what Game of Thrones.
It only needs 2 to tie Frasier. It only needs 2 to tie.
2 to tie Frasier. It'll probably do that. Knock on wood. But 14 is the number Game of Thrones can get. And we'll see how many they can get. If I was to just off the top of my head predict it, I'd say they'll probably win 3 or 4 of them, maybe 4.
Yeah, I'm thinking that if they win, I mean, they're going to win series most likely. They're almost a shoo-in to win directing, so that's 2. If they win, I think their next best shot is probably writing. If Battle of the Bastards just carries the show through, then there's its 3rd, and then anything else after that is just a bonus.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. There we go. How the state of the race for next week. Game of Thrones chasing 14. It's on 9. Fantastic. Okay.
And Margot Martindale, you owe me a new monitor.
Yeah.
Poor Margot Martindale.
65 words.
I choose to believe again that she won for her role on BoJack Horseman, which she was so good. I wish I could have just seen her do the recording session because she was magnificent.
And I'm pretending another one of those wins was for a guest spot she did on Dexter before she was on Justified, which I thought she should.
The perfect key lime pie.
Gonna quickly just check if there's a few comments in the chat room to round us out. A few people, or in the forum, sorry. Let me see. Page 8 of the forum. I am waiting to load. Okay. Sagan says Matthew Reese and Kerry Russell are real threats to win. Lord Freddie Blackfire says House of Cards is not winning anything next week. Fix your predictions. Pterodact says, after Margot Martindale, do you still think they are watching the episodes? M says, Martindale's win gives me hope for Bates to upset next week. Ayan says, I'm not able to decide if vote splitting is a thing or not. You see Tina and Amy win with 2 other SNL nominees, and Game of Thrones and OJ win their editing categories, but then the 3 House of Cards guys lose to Hank Azaria. So where do we stand with this? Read out a comment from him already. Gus Cruz says, LOL, same joke as last year. I think in reference to the Margot Martindale win.
Well, I guess she is proof.
I think if
she
anything,
is
Charlie
proof.
was more animated this year.
Charlie could have gotten a nomination for Best Animated Program just for his reaction to that.
For your consideration, baby. For your consideration. All I was going to say is that she is just proof. She is just proof that just because something lasts maybe 90 seconds does not mean it is unbelievable and out of this world.
Yeah.
Wow.
Andrew Carden.
That's the reaction I normally get from that.
Yeah. Andrew Carden says in the forums, Emmy Pete sure love their Margot Martindale. I think Kerry Russell is winning next weekend. A shame Laurie Metcalf will be going home empty-handed.
Not necessarily.
Alex Meyer. Yeah, maybe she could upset Julia. Alex Meyer, I'm so happy Amy Poehler finally has an Emmy, although she should have won 3 of 4 Emmys by now. I'm also very happy for the people versus 3 or 4 Emmys by now. I'm very happy for the people versus O.J. Simpson wins. So there you go. Some thoughts in the chat room. JFL123 says that she thinks that SNL guest categories are the only categories where vote splitting doesn't count. I feel the voters are voting more on the actors themselves than the actual show, since they're basically being themselves. Okay, I'd say question on a few of the comments in the forum is, what about Kerry Russell and Matthew Rhys? Like, how's the Americans looking for those acting categories next week? On the back of Margot Martindale's win, could we see an upset there? Daniel, what do you think?
I honestly, not to be pessimistic, I love The Americans. I would vote for it personally as best drama series. I think Margot Martindale's win is evidence of the strength of Margot Martindale. I don't think it's going to translate to Matthew Rhys or Kerry Russell.
Okay. Any other opinions?
Yeah, the ironic thing is that Margot Martindale's winning tape is actually the same tape that Matthew Rhys and Kerry Russell both submitted. But I think Daniel's exactly right. I don't think this has anything to do with the Americans' love as it has to do with Margot. They just love Margot, and I want to see them submit her next year, where she's literally just sitting in a chair in one scene.
She's not even in the episode, huh?
Yeah.
She doesn't even, not even in the season. I agree. I don't think that, I think that if they, maybe they do like that tape a lot. Maybe they like it enough to vote for all 3 of the actors who submitted it. But, I think this is evidence that perhaps they are just, if they're just choosing one person and they're choosing the person they like the most. Now, you brought up something about vote splitting, and I guess I could cover that again.
Yeah, touch on it.
House of Cards, 3 drama supporting actor nominees did not win one of them. 2 drama guest actress nominees did not win one of them, and I think Ellen Burstyn was probably the presumed front runner in that category. So is vote splitting a thing? I mean, I think with Amy Poehler and Tina Fey, it was just they're such popular actresses that it might not have mattered. But could that have been the thing that killed Larry David? Vote splitting with Tracy Morgan.
Well, I think Martin Mull was a serious one in that category too, so I think he siphoned off some votes there too.
I agree with you. Yeah.
I think the interesting thing I think about the American situation is it is a show with momentum. Like, it did break through into the Emmys this year, and it does have some wind at its back. And I don't think that hurt Margot Martindale. I agree. She won last year. I think it's probably more about the love for her, but I think it didn't hurt her that the show had some momentum behind it and some wind at its back, and that will help Kerry Russell and Matthew Rhys. Whether there'll be enough for them to pull off upsets, but those categories are, to a degree, open-ish categories. I'm not sure if there's a lock in either of them, so I could see those categories going a number of ways, and I could see Kerry Russell and Matthew Rhys winning. I think Kerry Russell's a little bit more likely, just because I think that's a bit more of a divided field. I think there's a bit more of a less consolidation behind one particular contender there, but we'll see. The Americans' breakthrough this year reminds me a bit of the year Friday Night Lights broke through. I think the only difference is Friday Night sort of broke through in sort of a 2-year period. sort of the actors got in one year, then the series broke in the next. But I wouldn't call it crazy.
I think the two drama lead acting categories really could go a number of ways, and I think we'll learn a lot about where the Emmys are in terms of, you know, how they're coming up with these winners. Is it the show? Is it the momentum for the show? Is it the tapes? Is it just the person's popularity? Because you could make a solid case for, you know, Robin Wright winning or Viola Davis winning or even Kerry Russell winning. I mean, she's the best. I have her in second, and most of that's just based on the strength of her tape. But with the Americans having more momentum this year, that could certainly help her. I've still got Spacey winning lead actor, but I'm not confident in that at all.
Yeah. Tomorrow, we're going to be the same time, same place. Hopefully we'll have ironed out some of the kinks from today's show and some of the sort of technical things and be a bit more on top of stuff like the forums and Twitter and all that sort of stuff. But tomorrow... Yeah, the monitor,
Charlie's monitor.
Yeah. Tomorrow, the categories are primarily variety series, reality, non-fiction, animation, all these sorts of different types of worlds. So we're going to be moving a bit away from the drama comedy series worlds into the sort of reality, variety, animation sort of side of things. So that'll be fun.
One of the things that I thought was funny about tonight was I was, as we were like 2/3 of the way through, I was like, wait, this is weird. Sheila Nevins hasn't won anything so far tonight. That's going to be tomorrow night, where she will probably extend the record that she is currently tied for of most Emmys, period.
Yeah. So we'll have the board out tomorrow, and we'll have different shows, and we'll see how they do compared to the shows that did tonight. It'd be, I think, hard for any show tomorrow to get the 9 of Game of Thrones, but we might see some come and fill this gap here and things like that as we see various shows. I know there's stuff like Making a Murderer and Saturday Night Live, and there's also some performance awards tomorrow, aren't there, for like for
short form
corduroys competing and stuff. So there's some pretty fun categories. I'm pretty excited for tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll be back. However you're watching this, you'll be able to watch this there tomorrow at this exact same time. At what time is it? Someone who knows American time zones. I think it's the right time in Sydney.
We started this at 5 p.m. Pacific, so that's 8 p.m. Eastern.
Okay.
Yeah.
5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. GoldDerby.com's the place to go to sort of read reactions, join the forums, talk about stuff like that. And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. The only place where you can hear the winners of the Creative Arts Emmy Awards live. Okay.
All right.